Hello and welcome to Monin Park for a Little East Conference matchup between the visiting UMass Dartmouth Corsairs and your UMass Boston Beacons, who enter the week ranked 23rd in both the Division III Baseball.com poll and the ABCA National poll. The Beacons coming in red hot, winners of 6 in a row. On the other side, the Corsairs, they've cooled down since coming back from Florida, losing their past 4 games in a row, including being swept on Sunday by the Eastern Connecticut State University Warriors. Let's take a look at the all-time series between these two teams, and these two teams have played each other a lot over the last couple of years. UMass Dartmouth leads the all-time series, but the Beacons have had the better end of things as of late, winners of 5 in a row, including a sweep of the Corsairs last year, a pair of wins here in Boston at Monin Park in the regular season on April 4th, wins of 2-1 and 7-3, and then in the LEC tournament, the Beacons earned a comeback victory by a 7-3 score. The Beacons, the top seed, were on the ropes a little bit, down 2-1 going into the 5th inning before the Beacons scored 2 in the 7th and 3 in the 8th to earn the 7-3 victory. Nick Herzog had a big day with 3 RBI hits in the win, finishing 3 for 5 with 3 RBI, and he had the game-tying RBI single back in the 7th inning. And right now, while we have a moment, let's take a look at the highlights from the game with Seth Renski and UMass Dartmouth Assistant Athletic Director. Rogers sets the 0-2 on the outside corner, strike 3. Rogers looks in, the 2-2, swung on it, missed the check swing, and McCormick doesn't even have to make him on the season in the midst of a 5-game hitting streak, but he's going to have to wait till his second at bat. Already 3 strikeouts for Rogers in the first 5 batters. Those strikeouts can be a killer in those innings as he takes strike 3 on the outside corner to begin the second. The 2-2 is a bit high. Oh, they're going to call it strike 3. It looked high to me. A strikeout this side, all by way of the looking K with an RBI, one way or another. Luises that one out to left center. It's going to score the run. Herzog's going to look at 2, hold off, but he gives the Beacons the lead here in the bottom of the second. Those two guys have combined for nearly 90 on the year, but when they're hitting well, it's been a huge impact as he goes down swinging.
33-13 with 36 hits, 6 doubles, and 1 home run.
Flails at the breaking ball and misses. 7 strikeouts for Rogers. The 1-2 from strike. Hit right back up the middle, off the hand of the pitcher. O'Neal, a diving effort, not going to be able to get it out. And now the question is Dean Strike okay? That line drive came right off his pitching hand. The 0-2 pitch hit out to center. This could be a problem. The Beacons running over, and Frascino can't make a diving effort. It's going to be 2, maybe 3. They'll hold up the base runner, Nell, at second base. 1 of 1 on the year. The 1-0, Ramirez clubs it through the left side. They're going to send Nell. Cesare is chasing. His throw is going to be cut off by Riley, and it's a 2-2 game. UMass Dartmouth with 3 consecutive runners reaching with 2. Struck out a batter in his last 9. Ball hit softly in on the hands. This is going to score a run. Hughie the long throw, and the Corsairs have their first lead of the day at 3-2. The 1-2 with 2 down. Swung on and missed. Rogers, if that is the end of his outing, ends it on a high note. 10 strikeouts, a new career high. 1-1 to Herzog, hit out to right. This should score a run. It's going to bounce in front of the right fielder, Wood. Fowler's going to hold up as Wood did a nice job baiting the Beacons into thinking at it. 0-1 to Brown, hits it over to the second baseman, O'Neal. Chance for 2 for the 3rd time this inning. Ramirez can't make the grab. Now a chance to get out of it without any further damage. 0-2, swung on and missed. So Maitland comes on and leaves the bases loaded.
Had a huge at bat.
Hits it out to short. The Beacons will go to 3rd. The throw is there in time. The tag is there in time, and the Beacons get the lead runner. Focusing on getting this 3rd out, the 0-2. That ball's hit out to left center. It's going to score 1, if not 2. Nice job getting over there by Vartani. That'll keep Murphy at 3rd base, but an RBI 2-out single from Ryan McCormick, and the Beacons have a 2-run lead for the 2nd time today. Trailed 2-0 into the 8th inning as Herzog pops up a ball mile high, and the throw down the first is not in time, and then it's thrown over into right field. Herzog will get a single, his 3rd RBI single today, and moves up to 2nd on the throwing error. Pitchers have gotten into as Kaufman takes it right back to the mound, throws over to 1st, and that will do it here in Game 1. The Beacons rally from a hole in the 7th inning. They score the final 5 runs, earn a 7-3 win. And welcome back to Monin Park. Of course, that was Jack Holleran joining me on the broadcast. Total brain fart there. The Beacons winning that one 7-3. In fact, UMass Dartmouth had leads in each of the last 2 games last season going into the 5th inning before the Beacons were able to turn it around. Corsairs and Beacons have played a lot in the postseason. In fact, 6 years in a row, 8 total meetings. The Corsairs had the better end of things early, winning 4 out of 5 from 2013 to 2016, but the Beacons have won each of the last 3, including the 2017 LEC Championship game over UMass Dartmouth. Take a look at a couple things to know for this matchup. 2 teams going a little bit different directions. The Beacons started 2-4. They've won 6 in a row, outscoring their opponents by 31 runs over the last 6 games. UMass Dartmouth, a little bit of a different story. They've lost 4 in a row and have been outscored 35-15. The Corsairs, since coming back from Florida, losses at Roger Williams by 6 runs to Wheaton College, a very good nationally ranked team that already beat the Beacons this season. They lost by 3 at home and then lost at Eastern Connecticut State 5-0 and 12-6. The Beacons on the other side hosted Keene State as part of their 8-game homestand to start their New England play. They defeated the Owls 3-2 and 11-2. Eastern was picked 4th in the LEC standings, though in the LEC preseason poll, while the Owls were picked 8 out of 9 teams. And Kyle Boudris, who is our player to watch today, became the 4th player in program history to reach 200 career hits, 10th active player in Division III. He's actually just 24 hits behind the active leader in all of Division III baseball, which is an extremely impressive stat for a guy who has missed some time over his years with some leg injuries. You look at Boudris, just 24 hits behind Nathan Sides of Alvernia, currently ranked 10th, just a couple of hits. A 3 or 4 hit game would put him into the top 7, maybe even top 6. It's been very hot as of late. One of 2 Beacons riding an 8-game hitting streak, 11 for 30 over his last 8 with 5 runs and 4 RBI. Let's take a look right now at the visitors lineup, the UMass Dartmouth Corsairs, team that looks a little bit different than the last time we saw them here in the LEC tournament. Head coach Bob Prince lost some of his big-time players. Senior second baseman Josh O'Neill is gone, as is Kenny Michael, a player who played at the DH spot in outfield. Matt Curran, a two-way player. Senior starter Ben Lodge also gone, along with 2 guys who would have been seniors this year, Eric Ramirez and Jose Vasquez, not on the team. 2 players who were everyday starters from their freshman year on. Both of those players not enrolled at UMass Dartmouth, hoping to be back for next season. Take a look at the lineup. J.R. DiSarcina, very impressive transfer shortstop, who spent his first 2 years at Franklin Pierce, followed by Chris Wood, Nate Tellier, who has just been a tremendous 2-way player for Bob Prince. His average is down a little bit, but he will be a big player for this year's team. Mike Nell, he brings the pop. Jack Harrington spent his first 2 years at UMass Dartmouth, transferred to UMass Boston. Now he's back at UMass Dartmouth for his senior season. Nick Andrews, another one of those impressive newcomers. Pat Vartanian will be the DH. Mitch Baker, coming off a career year as a sophomore. His average is down, but he'll be in the lineup this afternoon hitting 8th, and John Candialis is over there at second base replacing the senior Josh O'Neill, who graduated last May. Take a look at the Beacons lineup. Not a lot of changes. This Beacons team pretty secure in 8 of the spots. The one question mark has been second base. Ryan Collins gets the start today. On the infield will be Eddie Riley, Charlie Hughey, Ryan Collins, and Kyle Boudris. Nico Kides will catch for Dylan Fashionpour, a pair of freshmen in the battery, and the Beacons outfield. The only question has been whether Ryan McCormick would play left or Anthony Cesare. Today it's McCormick with Brown and Herzog manning the other 2 spots. While we've got a moment, let's take a look at a Beacon Spotlight video with Dylan Fashionpour. Fashionpour, a freshman out of Redlands, California, came all the way east, and we'll hear a little bit of the reasoning why he decided to come east and what his reaction was when he found out he would be a starting pitcher for this Beacons team after expecting to come in as a freshman as a reliever.
So I chose UMass Boston coming from California because one of the ex-assistant coaches from here was my old high school coach. So he told Coach Eigerbrodt about me, and I've grown up a Red Sox fan, so I've always dreamed about living in Boston, so I guess me playing here would be a dream come true. Coachy contacted me. I came out and toured like November of my senior year. I knew that they were a top tier team, knew that they were competed, obviously loved the field, so it was all just really, it was a pretty easy choice. Going into the season, I was expecting to be a reliever because obviously we had 4 guys returning that were already the 4 starters, so I was planning on being a reliever, which I probably was going to have to adjust to because I had been a starter my whole life. So that was going to be tough, but being a starter now I feel comfortable doing it because, again, I've done it my whole life. A couple days before my first start, coach told me that I was going to start, and I was pretty pumped up because it was going to be my first collegiate start. So I was pretty excited, and not knowing that I was going to be the guy to go to after JT had gotten hurt, because I knew that was going to be a huge impact in our starting rotation, so I didn't know that I was going to fill it, and I was pretty excited when I got the opportunity to do it. Obviously, the start against Roger Williams was probably the coldest I've ever pitched in, but I've been kind of adapting my body to pitch in the colder weather, being here for probably 8 months now. So it's been tough, but I think I've adapted them pretty well as the time goes on.
Psychology is about understanding the individual and understanding the mind. The main reason why I want to combine psychology and business degrees is because I want to understand the business decisions that are made. I'm Nurçin Çelebi. I'm from Turkey originally. I'm a senior at the 5-year BA to MBA program at UMass Boston. I think in management, the biggest mistake you can make is to not listen. So I want to be able to step into a company and say, here's what you're doing now, and here's how you can improve it. I moved here when I was 16 for high school. Moving from Turkey, it was a rough journey for me because when you don't really speak the language that well, and when you don't really fit in the crowd, it's very easy to disappear. But I decided not to give up, and UMass helped me. I wanted to be able to improve myself. I wanted to be able to try new things, and I think UMass gave me a really good head start on that.
What do we mean when we say UMass is here for a reason? We mean that the 5-campus UMass system is the only public research university that the people of Massachusetts established to create better futures for themselves, but also for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts as a whole. It's a university that educates 73,000 students every day and graduates 17,000 graduates every year. We are the university that educates the workforce of Massachusetts. We're one of the state's 3 major academic research engines: research that saves and improves people's lives, and research that drives the innovation economy of Massachusetts. We provide services and economic opportunity to every region of the Commonwealth. The noted historian David McCullough once said that 2 great concepts, university and Massachusetts, come together in only one place, and we are very aware of how fortunate we are to bear the name, the University of Massachusetts. We recognize that we are truly here for a reason, and that recognition inspires us and drives us every single day.
And welcome back to Monin Park. It's not a warm one today, very similar to Dylan Fashionpour's last start against Roger Williams in the Beacon's home opener when the temperatures were in the high 40s, low 30s. The freshman out of Redlands, California, actually talked about it if you were with us a couple minutes ago on the pregame, that it's definitely been something he's had to acclimate, but he feels a little bit more confident pitching in the cold weather. Today, right now in Dorchester, 41 degrees, low of 26 with winds 10 to 15 miles per hour, which means it's probably closer to 20 here on the Beacons Harbor campus. Feel like temperature of 35, so not a warm start, and it'll only get colder as the sun begins to dip. See the numbers on Fashionpour, making his 3rd collegiate start, 1-0 with a team-best 0.75 ERA, 12 innings, a team-best 16 strikeouts versus just 6 walks. A very impressive start to his career, and those stats boosted by just how good he was a week ago against Roger Williams, a team that just defeated Roger Williams defeated UMass Dartmouth the next day. In that game, Fashionpour 7 innings, 2 hits, no runs, 10 strikeouts versus 2 walks. His first collegiate start against the nationally ranked Keystone team. 4 innings pitched, 2 hits, 1 run, 1 earned, 5 strikeouts, and 3 walks. The Beacons went on to win that one 3-2 after blowing a lead that Fashionpour left with. So he's been extremely good, and he's had to step into a starting role after the Beacons lost 2 of their 4 presumed starters to injuries. JT Morin and Joey Rogers right now both on the shelf, and Fashionpour and Joe McGuire have filled in nicely for UMass Boston. Fashionpour will start his day against player with a very good pedigree in baseball, J.R. DiSarcina, the junior shortstop out of Barnstable, Massachusetts. Spent his first 2 years at Franklin Pierce, where he played 32 games a season ago, playing second base, 298, 15 runs, 13 RBI, 4 doubles, and 2 home runs. His dad, Gary DiSarcina, should be a household name. Played 12 years as a shortstop for the California and then Anaheim Angels from 1989 to 2000, where he played in over 1,000 major league games with the Angels organization, including being named an All-Star in the 1995 season. 2-0 is roped out to left field. McCormick coming in on it and makes the leaping catch. McCormick sometimes makes things look a little bit more difficult than they need to be in left, but he's been very good at making the plays and is able to catch that line out to left for the first out of today's contest. McCormick, an all-region catcher a season ago, but Nico Kaides, the man behind the plate today, maybe a slight defensive upgrade for the Beacons, and McCormick, a tremendous outfielder, as that ball is ripped past Ryan Collins at second base, and it's a one-out base runner for the Corsairs as Chris Wood takes the first pitch he sees and rips it up the middle. So Wood, the sophomore out of Berkeley, Mass., who's playing in right field, is aboard for Nate Tellier, junior center fielder / right-handed pitcher out of Attleboro, Massachusetts, stands at 5'11", 180. Tellier was a second-team all-region player and all-conference player as a sophomore. Fashionpour looks, the runner fakes taking off, and then will head back as the breaking ball is across the strike zone for strike 1. Tellier, season ago, had a career-best 382 average, 464 on base percentage, and 570 slugging percentage. Really good line across the way. The team best 63 hits, 34 runs scored, and 37 RBI. Also stole 19 bases in 23 attempts, but he's behind 0-2 here. He has seen a dip as a junior, hitting just .259, 15 of 58 with 7 runs, 9 RBI. Is tied for first with his 5 doubles. 0-2 coming from Fashionpour with Wood aboard with 1 down. Runner takes off. Breaking ball is high. Kaides has to step, throws. It's late. And Wood is into second base with a stolen base. That was a difficult one. The breaking ball over the head of the batter. And Wood is into second base with a 1-2 count. So now a runner in scoring position for the first time today. Dartmouth, not a team that runs all that well. For Wood, that was just his second steal in 3 attempts. Tellier, we talked about a bit of a down year, but he has been very good in big situations. He had walk-off hits in Florida against Montclair State and Illinois Wesleyan. So the breaking ball is fouled off once again. In that Illinois Wesleyan game, the Corsairs gave up 6 runs in the top of the 10th inning to fall behind 12-6 and came back with 7 runs in the bottom of the 10th inning, with Tellier coming through with the game-winning hit. 1-2 with 1 down. Wood's out there at second after a 1-out single and a stolen base. Hughie comes in behind, the throw is there, but not in time. So UMass Dartmouth team, a lot of power hitters, although it could be difficult today. The wind has been blowing all over the place. At one point it was blowing very hard in. Then it started blowing out to right, then to left. So we'll have to keep you updated. Right now it looks like it might be blowing in a little bit. The 1-2, that one in and out of the glove of Kides for a pass ball, and Wood is able to advance a base. So not the start the Beacons were looking for. It's interesting. Right now, Brendan Eigerbrod is going to check on our home plate umpire. Might have caught the umpire on that one as Tessa Martin, the Beacons trainer, comes out. The umpires for today's contest, Rick Emerson is the man behind the plate who's in a little bit of pain. Mike Rabideau is on the base pass as he comes in and checks on Emerson. So after a one-out single by Wood, he takes second on a stolen base and moves up to third on the pass ball. That one looks like it went off the glove of Kides, but it might have actually caught Emerson on the fly. High fastball up and in. Gives Tellier a chance for potentially his 10th RBI in the season, which would be second best. He trails only the man behind him in the lineup, Mike Nell, the junior out of Dennis, Mass., who has 16 RBI and is hitting a robust .358 on the year. That was just the second pass ball on the season for Kides. It was one of the reasons that he potentially earned the catching role, or at least a bigger role behind the plate, as McCormick, one of the things he struggled with a bit as a sophomore in his first year as a starting catcher was his pass balls, finishing with over a dozen. So Tellier's back in there. Emerson appears to be okay. This is a big pitch right now, 2-2 with one down and a runner now at third base after the pass ball. 2-2 is flared out on the right side, should be catchable on the infield for Boudris, and that's a big second out as Tellier is retired on the pop-up to the Beacons' first baseman. Brings up Mike Nell, junior out of Dennis, Mass., 6'2", 210. He's hitting .358, second on the team. Also leads the team with his .469 on base percentage and .660 slugging percentage. Tied for the team lead with 19 hits. This takes a breaking ball on the inside half for strike one. Nell also has a team high 14 runs, 16 RBI, 4 home runs. And is tied for the team lead with his 4 steals in 5 attempts. 0-1 from Fashionpour. Fastball on the outside half, and Nell swings, maybe got a piece of it. So he went in and out of the glove of Kides, quickly 0-2. Fashionpour looking for another scoreless inning. Had 7 of them last week against Roger Williams. See what the Beacons give Nell an 0-2. It's another fastball. This one a little bit further off the corner. And Nell wisely takes it 1-2. Beacons trying to get Nell to chase. It is something that the Corsairs have struggled with, their strikeouts. This Corsairs team on the season, 118 strikeouts as that ball is past the glove of Riley at third base. Nell chugging into second, and he's going to have an RBI double. So Nell comes through, scoring Wood from third base. And the Corsairs strike first on an RBI double from Mike Nell.
The first baseman, number 16, Jack Harrington.
That'll bring up the Corsair turned Beacon, and now turned Corsair again, as the Beacon's bench is instructed to stay inside the parameters of the dugout. Harrington, a senior out of Barnstable, Mass. Played his first 2 years at UMass Dartmouth, took a season off, played last season in 26 games with the Beacons as the backup catcher. Just takes that one hard and in, a little bit too far in though for ball one. Harrington last year as a Beacon hit .212, 7 of 33 with 6 runs, a double, 4 RBI. As a senior, has appeared in 13 games thus far for the Corsairs. 13 out of 14. 244 average as he rips that one out to right. This one has a chance to get down in fair territory, and it does. Back-to-back RBI hits. Harrington's going to take off for second. Good throw from Herzog, and it is not in time. Diving effort there from Hughie, but the Corsairs with back-to-back doubles. This one just inside the right field line after Nell put one just past Riley inside the left field line. And just like that, UMass Dartmouth, a 2-0 lead in the top of the first against Dylan Fashionpour, who was able to retire the first batter, but since then has allowed a single, pop-up, and back-to-back doubles. This brings up Nick Andrews, junior out of Raynham, Massachusetts, in his first season with the Corsairs. Breaking ball is down and outside for ball one. Andrews spent his first 2 seasons at Massasoit Community College, where he played in 29 or more games in both seasons. As a sophomore, hit .360 with a .435 on base percentage and .532 slugging percentage in 30 contests. 0-1 just misses. 2-0 as Kaides tried to frame that one on the outside half. Andrews 40 of 111 as a sophomore with 41 runs, 35 RBI, 11 doubles, a triple, and 2 home runs. Hasn't quite translated yet at UMass Dartmouth in the Division III level as the 2-0 is fouled back. Andrews in his first season with the Corsairs has played in all 14 games, now 15. Hitting .250 with a 12 of 48 mark, 6 runs, 5 RBI, pair of doubles. Has struck out 10 times versus just 1 walk. Fashionpour would love an out of any kind right now, but a strikeout might give him a bit of confidence after those back-to-back RBI doubles as Fashionpour steps off. Harrington, not a big threat to run out there. He is playing first base today, but he's typically a catcher. Two-one fastball catches the outside corner, 2-2. Going back to that point about UMass Dartmouth struggles with the strikeouts. I can get the correct paper in front of me. UMass Dartmouth coming into this game, 118 strikeouts in 14 contests. As there's 119 versus just 63 walks. They don't have a starter in their lineup that has more walks than strikeouts. The other issue has been their pitching staff, second in the conference in strikeouts, but also lead the LEC in walks. We'll see how Tucker Heatherman, the Corsairs pitcher, does against this Beacons lineup. He's been staked to a 2-0 lead. We'll take a commercial and be right back with the Beacons lineup, the Corsairs defensive lineup, and a look at Tucker Heatherman.
Beacons on the track! Beacons on the track!
My name is Tyler Hart.
Beacons on the track!
Being on the track and field team here is the greatest decisions I've made besides coming to UMass Boston. When you train together in that sort of intensity, you build a sort of a bond with people who are training with you. You know, it's like a higher level of friendship. It's like teammates, it's just a different level. My freshman year, I got a Rookie Athlete of the Year. Outdoor for my sophomore year, I was the first time I went to nationals. When I jump, it's a little difficult considering I have a hereditary disorder known as amblyopia.
There we go.
It's pretty much just a partial blindness in the left eye. The best way to describe it is if you have decent prescriptions for contact lenses, you take one of the lenses out, and then you put your hand over the eye with that lens. That's my vision. I rely more on my steps as opposed to my visual perception of how far away the bar is. And since I can't see out of my left eye, I have to sit on the far left-hand side of the class. Hopefully coach for a few years, and coach some high school kids, maybe even coach on a college level as like an assistant coach, and go to PA school, then do a 5-year program and try to get my loans paid back, and then go from there.
And welcome back to Monin Park. Already a 2-0 lead for the visitors. You see Tucker Heatherman on the mound. Heatherman, a redshirt sophomore out of Webster, Mass. Attended Bay Path Regional Vocational Tech High School, where he was a Worcester T&G All-Region player before attending Southern New Hampshire University. Heatherman only pitched in 2 games at Southern New Hampshire. In those 2 appearances, Had 2 strikeouts, a walk, and allowed 2 hits. Did not allow a run. Both of those came last year as the count moves to 1-1 against Eddie Riley. At UMass Dartmouth, making his 4th appearance and 3rd start. He's 0-1 in 9 1/3 innings. Breaking ball catches the outside corner quickly, 1-2 to Eddie Riley. Heatherman, 6.75 ERA, 7 hits, 9 runs, 7 earned, 8 strikeouts, and 10 walks. See, just misses there, low and outside, 2-2. In his last outing, 2 Fridays ago against Wheaton, went 4 innings, allowed 1 hit, 2 runs, 1 earned. As Riley pops that one up, should easily be playable. DeSarcina is under it. Tellier comes in behind him, and it's DeSarcina, the shortstop, who makes the play on the towering pop-up for out number 1. Heatherman also started against Keystone. 3 innings, 5 hits, 6 runs, 5 strikeouts, and 4 walks. So he is used to pitching against really good competition. Keystone and Wheaton, 2 teams who have been in the top 25 this year. Anthony Cesare takes the first pitch. A little bit low for ball 1. Cesare hit his first career home run last season against UMass Dartmouth as he gets over the top of that one and fouls it off. That came against Corsairs ace Matt Cronin. Cronin pitched on Sunday against Eastern, so Beacon's facing the number 3 just like they're throwing their number 3. Cesare, a junior, in the DH spot today out of Wakefield, Mass., and he hits one high out to center field. Tellier has room and eventually will make the play as that one hung up for a while out there in center field. So 2 quick outs for Tucker Heatherman, and it'll bring up our player to watch for UMass Boston, the first baseman Kyle Boudris. 201 career hits. Riding an 8-game hitting streak, 3-time all-conference player, an all-region player as a shortstop as a sophomore. First pitch to Boudris, hard fastball on the inside half right at the knees, 0-1. Boudris for his career, 93 runs scored, 103 RBI in 148 career games played. He's just behind Nick Herzog, who played in his 150th game on Sunday. 1-1 count with 2 outs, and Boudris will flare that one. Looks like it's going to get into foul territory, but Nell should have room, and he will make the running play. So the Beacons go 1-2-3 in the bottom half of the inning after UMass Dartmouth struck for 2 runs with 2 outs in the top half. Good start for the Corsairs as they look to snap a 4-game losing streak, and avoid a 3-game losing streak in conference play.
We graduate 17,000 students every year, and the vast majority of them stay in Massachusetts. We have over 280,000 graduates in Massachusetts today. We graduate people in critical fields, engineering, STEM fields. We graduate people with research experience where they can start their own companies. It is amazing to see what UMass graduates accomplish once they leave the university. I remember vividly my own graduation from UMass. It was a beautiful day. It was perfect weather. I remember the pride that my mother and father felt. I could see it in their eyes. Here it is, 30 years later, I get an opportunity to preside over UMass commencement. It is so moving and inspiring for me to think this is what it's for. Here we are, we have these graduates that we're going to unleash on the world, ready to take on the world, happy about the accomplishment, but also hopeful about the future. It's hard not to get emotional at a UMass graduation. You see that UMass is here for the Commonwealth, here for a reason.
It'll be Pat Vartanian, followed by Mitch Baker and John Candialis. 7-8-9 for the Corsairs here in the second, who struck for 3 hits and 2 runs in the top of the first to take a lead against Dylan Fashionpour, who did not allow a run last week in the Beacons' victory over Roger Williams in their home openers. Fashionpour, hard fastball on the outside half for strike 1 against Vartanian. Pat, a senior outfielder / DH out of Canton, Mass. 5'11", 200. It's the 0-1, a little bit further outside, and they call it strike 2. A little bit of a wide outside corner there from Ryan Emerson, but he's been pretty consistent in giving that. 0-2 from Fashionport. Breaking ball that's ripped foul down the left field line. Got a lot of it, but just couldn't keep it fair. We've seen already 2 extra base hits from the Corsairs against Fashionport. See what Fashionport comes back with. No 2 count. Did strike out the last batter he faced. The 0-2 breaking ball low. Nice job by Vartanian to hold off. Vartanian hitting .314 with a .415 on base percentage and .457 slugging percentage. Rips one out to left, right at McCormick though, and he'll make the play easily for out number 1. So Fashionport has been able to retire the leadoff hitter in both innings.
The catcher, number 9.
Trying to set down the Corsairs potentially in order here in the second to get the bats back up against Tucker Heatherman, who had a 1-2-3 inning in the bottom of the first. It's Mitch Baker, the local product. Baker out of Braintree, Mass., just a couple of miles south of UMass Boston's campus. He won a pair of Super 8 titles at Braintree High School. Also played hockey for the Womps, as that one is just outside with the breaking ball 1-1. Baker coming off a really strong sophomore campaign. Third on the team with this .336 average, second with a .443 on base percentage, and third with a .476 slugging percentage as the fastball's way off 2-1. His junior season hasn't been able to follow that campaign up as well, hitting just .156. The on-base percentage is there at .321, but a slugging percentage of just .178 is the breaking ball, again, well outside the zone, and all of a sudden Baker's ahead 3-1. Baker 7 of 45, 9 runs, 6 RBI, a double, leads the conference with 23 strikeouts, 6 more than the batter in second in the conference versus just 6 walks. He's 0 for his last 9 with 5 strikeouts over his past 3 games. 3-2 coming from Fashionport, and he strikes him out. Swing and a miss from Baker, who continues his junior season woes. It's 3 straight retired by Fashionport, 2 by way of the strikeout. And it'll bring up the 9-hole hitter, John Candialis.
The second baseman, number 3, John Candialis.
Candialis, freshman out of Attleboro, Mass., 5'10", 170. He's a key reliever and a senior captain last year at Attleboro High School, but he's only a one-way player at UMass Dartmouth thus far, and he's been a good one, appearing in 13 of 14 games. Third on the team with this .326 average, fourth with the .420 on base percentage, 14 of 43 with 6 runs scored, 4 RBI, and a double. 1-0 to him, big cut, but doesn't connect, and it's 1-1. Candialis, 11 strikeouts versus 7 walks, 4 for 5 on the base pass, but he's going through a rough streak, 0 for his last 10, with 4 strikeouts and a walk over his last 3 appearances. So that fastball just a bit too far inside, 2-1. Candialis started his season with multiple hits in 5 of his first 6 games, but did not play in Game 2 against EastCon after going through that 0 for 10 stretch. Right back in the lineup today in a pivotal conference game against the Beacons. 2-1, fouled back, 2-2. If Candialis were to reach, it would bring up J.R.D. Sarcina, leadoff hitter for the Corsairs. The 2-2 offering from Fashionport, inside corner, strike 3. Fashionport has struck out 3 of the past 4 batters. Now we'll see if the Beacons' bats can come alive in the bottom of the second. It's 2-0 UMass Dartmouth through 1.5.
UMass is very public service focused, and it piqued my interest, and I started doing more research on it. I'm very focused on what can I do to make the world around me a better place. My name is Lydia Grasso. I'm a junior at UMass Boston studying sociology and minoring in human rights. Because I won the Chancellor Scholarship at UMass, it allowed me to go to Cambodia. I was working at the Sihanouk Hospital Center of Hope. I was in the place of something horrible that had happened. I could either go home and kind of forget about that experience and kind of block it out, or I could do something so that things like that never happened again. UMass provides me with opportunities that I wouldn't get anywhere else and gives me a global perspective in a public setting. I definitely transformed at UMass.
Tucker Heatherman warming up here for the second inning. Mowed down the Beacons in order in the first. A pop up to short, a fly out to center, and a foul ball over to the third baseman, Nell. He'll have to face off against Nick Herzog, Ryan McCormick, and Nico Kaides here in the bottom of the second.
Leading off for the Beacons at the bottom of the second.
Heatherman making his fourth appearance and third start of the season. His pitched just 9 in the third inning, so see how deep he can go into this game. His first appearance was out of the pen. So that one catches the inside corner, 1-1. UMass Dartmouth lost quite a few position players, but they suffered even more losses out of their bullpen. The pitch is low. Not only losing Ben Lodge, but also guys like Dean Strike and a couple other key relievers. They don't have a reliable reliever thus far to go to, with Logan Maitland forced to go into the rotation. Maitland was phenomenal in last year's LEC tournament out of the pen. 2-2 to Nick Herzog, who's probably the hottest Beacon, senior captain out of Riverhead, New York. Takes strike 3 and knew it. Breaking ball that floated over the outside half. So that's the first strikeout of the day for Heatherman. Herzog, who came in hitting team best 370, strikes out for the 10th time this season. And he'll bring up Ryan McCormick, who is also going through a little bit of a hot streak. McCormick came back from Florida hitting 130 and is now hitting 256, and he should have another hit here. Loops that one out to right field, well past the second baseman. A long run for Wood, but no chance for McCormick to take two there. McCormick is the first batter to reach for UMass Boston today. Beacon's team that really likes to run. McCormick on the season 4 for 4 on the base pass. And we'll see if the Beacons potentially put him in motion, either with Kaides at the plate or, if it gets to it, Danny Brown. Nico Kaides, freshman catcher out of Stamford, Connecticut. Played football and baseball at Stanford High School, where he's an all-league and team MVP. Hitting .320 with the team best .500 on-base percentage as McCormick takes a big lead. Kaides takes the first pitch for a fastball in the outside corner, 0-1. Kaides also second with his .520 slugging percentage, 8 of 25, 5 runs, 8 RBI, 2 doubles, and a homer. Throw over is not in time. Nico has struck out the second most times for any Beacon with 11. He's also added 5 walks. Another throw over. And Dan Gamble, the Beacons' first base coach, just trying to work out the move of Heatherman. First time that he's faced the Beacons in his career after spending 2 years at the D2 level. Breaking ball and a good one on the inside half, 0-2. Heatherman has worked ahead against all of these Beacons batters. Kaides on Sunday had the game-winning hit against Keene State in Game 1. A 2-run single in the 6th and a 3-2 victory as the throw-over comes for a third time. Cormick hasn't really shown that he's going to go as Heatherman drops the throwback, but no movement from the Beacons' junior outfielder out of Cumberland, Rhode Island. (0-2) with 1 out and a runner on first, and Kaides hits it right back to the pitcher. Tough to get 2 here, and they'll only go to first. Low flip, and it's picked up there by Harrington. Heatherman does not look like a guy who's very comfortable throwing the ball over to first base. It's odd. Pitchers have such strong velocity behind their pitches, but some guys really, really struggle with throwing it over to first base. And didn't get much behind that throw over to Harrington, who as a catcher was easily able to make the play. So Kites is retired, but it does allow McCormick to move up to second for Danny Brown. So a single here should cut the deficit to 2-1. Brown, Beacon's junior center fielder out of Hudson, New Hampshire, takes the first pitch inside, nearly caught him in the left-handed batter's box. Brown's first year as a full-time starter after playing a decent amount as a freshman and sophomore. 1-0 breaking ball. Missed inside. Looked very good from up here, but might have been a bit too tight. Danny originally committed to UMass Amherst and played fall ball with the Minutemen before transferring to the Beacons. 2-0 to Brown is flared out to left. This has a chance to get down, but instead it's caught by Nick Andrews. A nice read from Andrews, and the Beacons are retired in the second. UMass Boston gets their first base runner, but Ryan McCormick is left out there at second base through 2 innings. It's UMass Dartmouth 2, UMass Boston 0.
I'm Alexa Capion. I'm from Messina, New York. I'm a junior on the women's ice hockey team, and I'm an exercise health science major. But when I got here, I met Coach Harris, and I saw the facility, and I met a couple of the girls on the team, and I pretty much got a feel of the program, and I knew right away that this is where I wanted to go to school. We have all league games for the rest of the year, so that's going to be a huge test for us. We need those points to hopefully come out with a good standing for playoffs. A couple of highlights from the last couple of years I've been playing was probably last year when we won our first Codfish Bowl. We made history that year. I was really excited to be part of that. I don't have very many goals, but when I do score, it's definitely a big deal.
That's a goal.
For the past 3 years, we've had Emily. She is a member of the Team Impact program, and that's for children with illnesses that want to be part of a collegiate program. She's great. She comes and watches all of our games. She has her own jersey. She has her own stick. We've got her all this equipment. It's really awesome to have. She gives us a lot of motivation, and she comes in the locker room and talks to us before games, and it's really cool to have her here and be part of our team. When I graduate, I definitely want to go to graduate school, most likely for either athletic training or physical therapy. Our trainers here have definitely given me an insight about what it takes to be an athletic trainer. They're always on top of everything. They always know how to help us and what to do and what not to do. They're always there for us when we need them, and that's given me a lot of...
Top of the third inning, and it's J.R.D. Sarcina, the leadoff hitter, hits it over to Riley on a pair of bounces. Throw across in time. And the leadoff hitter is retired for the third consecutive inning by Dylan Fashionpour. Fashionpour is now retired 5 in a row after giving up back-to-back RBI doubles in the top of the first. The freshman righty came in with 16 strikeouts in 12 innings. K per 9 of over 10. Has struck out 3 through his first 2 1/3, including 3 of the past 5 batters. Chris Wood shows bunt, pulls it back, and takes ball 1. Wood had a single up the middle in his first at-bat, stole second, took third on a pass ball, and then scored as he rockets one out to right. Is this one going to stay fair? It's fair, and it gets past Herzog. This should be multiple bases. Boudris ran into the runner. This is going to be a triple either way. I don't think you can give interference for a home run, but there definitely was a little bit of contact between Wood and Boudris. So the conversations right now happening between Ryan Emerson and the third base coach, Bob Prince, the manager for UMass Dartmouth. Mike Rabideau comes over as well. And I think they're going to leave Wood right over at third base. That was a tough play for Herzog, and then that carom back towards center field. It's so dangerous at these Monin Park dimensions. Emerson now comes over and chats with Brendan Eigerbout, the Beacons head coach. But there's been no movement with Wood. I think that was what the conversation had to center on. ball was clearly fair. And now Nate Tellier, who had a runner at third base with one out in the first inning, wasn't able to drive Wood in, has another chance here in the third. Wood a perfect 2 for 2, the single, a triple, a run scored, and a stolen base. A very good start to the day for the senior out of Berkeley, Mass. Spent his first 2 years at Dean College. 0-1, misses outside, 1-1 now. Fashionport tries to limit the damage here in the third. He's already given up 4 hits, 3 extra base hits, and 2 runs scored. Beacon's lineup has been hitting extremely well as of late. 1-1, chop foul right into the on-deck circle where Mike Nell made a nice play. Tellier is tied for second on the team with his 9 RBI. He has, surprisingly, for a guy with his speed, hit into 4 double plays already this season. Guessing a lot of lineouts. Swing and a miss. Check swing there for strike 3. A huge 4 strikeout there for Dylan Fashionport. And that's what can help you out as a pitcher if you are giving up some base runners. If you're able to get the punch out, especially in a situation like that with a runner at third with less than 2 outs, you give yourself a chance to get out of it with no damage. And now we'll just have to retire Mike Nell, who ripped a ground ball past Eddie Riley just inside the third base bag for an RBI double to score the first run back in the top of the first. Wood is very active over there at third base, dancing back and forth. 2 for 3 on the base pass this year. Don't expect him to try to steal home, but he might try to swipe home if there's any kind of bounce on a ball in front of the plate or off of Nico Kaides. There's a breaking ball, a little bit low, 2-0. Wouldn't be surprised if the Beacons don't give Nell anything good to hit here with first and second base open. Jack Harrington does have an RBI double, but his numbers don't quite compare to what Nell has been able to produce this season. 2-0 is low again, and at this point I would just point the finger and give him first base at 3-0. Beacons are going to elect to pitch to Nell, junior out of Dennis, Mass., who now has 3 doubles and 17 RBI in the season. Fastball catches the outside portion of the plate, 3-1. Fashionport had a really successful high school career at Redlands East Valley High School. Was a first-team All-Citrus Belt League honoree. The 3-1 a bit high with the fastball. And that might have been one of those intentional walks. First walk of the day for the Beacons righty. Fashionport was also named a second-team All-California Interscholastic Federation honoree, the CIF, and helped his team to the CIF Division II Championship title game as a sophomore back in 2016 when he was playing under former Beacons assistant coach James Cordes, who helped kind of sway him towards UMass Boston. Throw over not in time with Nell diving back in. Nell is 4 for 5 on the base pass, but at this point I think you're focused on Jack Harrington, who hit an RBI double just inside the right field line. It's a good throw from Herzog, but not quite in time to get him at second base. First pitch to Harrington, another fly ball, but this one should be playable. Herzog fighting the sun. It's finally coming down out of the sky, and Herzog able to make the play. So UMass Dartmouth puts a runner at third base with 1 down, but unable to stretch their lead. It stays 2-0 through 2.5.
Paris changed my life, and I got there through UMass. Those very specific seminal moments in Paris. The subway. A man in a tuxedo walked in, and a woman in a long gown. And it was stunning. It all hit me. It was like a lightning bolt. There was this world of beauty and style that I wanted to be a part of. That was the beginning of the journey. And that all came through the University of Massachusetts. And that was really a key moment for me. That's what it was.
Bottom of the third inning here in Boston. UMass Boston will bring 8-9-1 to the plate as they look to score their first run against Tucker Heatherman. A couple other games going on today amongst Little East Conference squads. Plymouth State at Keene State. That game got moved to Franklin Pierce. With Keene State, the home team, at 3:30. Western Connecticut State travels to Ramapo College in New Jersey, also starting at 3:30. And Rhode Island College is at Eastern Connecticut State. Those two teams had a couple of fun battles in the Little East Conference tournament this past year. I believe it was Rhode Island College as the 3 seed, Eastern Connecticut State as the 4 seed, but I might be wrong. Eastern, of course, finishes the runner-up in the LEC tournament to UMass Boston. The Beacons handed the Warriors both of their losses. It's Ryan Collins, the Beacons' second baseman, takes a breaking ball on the outside half for strike one. Collins, a guy who came in highly touted for the Beacons, but has scuffled to start his season. Takes another breaking ball, quickly 0-2. Beacons have to fill that role after both Chris Fowler, the Beacons' All-American first baseman, and Dave Murphy, their All-Region second baseman, graduated on the right side of the infield. Boudris has done a great job at first base as the 1-2 skips all the way through. Baker couldn't even hold on to that one. Collins, 5'8", 175 out of Peabody, Mass. Played at Northern Essex Community College where he was just a superstar. Hit .404. The .474 on base percentage and .629 slugging percentage last year. But he swings and misses there. That's 9 strikeouts now and 25 at-bats. So he comes in with an .083 batting average. Still trying to figure it out in his first year at Division III. Second strikeout of the game for Heatherman, who's allowed just 1 base runner through his first 8 at-bats. And he'll face Charlie Hughey, the Beacons' 9-hole hitter and starting shortstop out of Sandy Hook, Connecticut. Hughey takes the 1-0 pitch on the inside half, 1-1. Hughey, first-team all-conference shortstop as a junior, playing his 144th career game. Has 101 runs and 80 RBI during those games. Takes that one for strike 2. Hughey hitting .275 as a senior. On-base percentage just under .400 as that one nearly catches his lead elbow. 11 of 40, 9 runs scored, 7 RBI, 5 doubles, which is good for second on the team. 4 for 6 on the base pass. Hits that one softly over to Nell. Scoops, throws, and it's in time to retire the Beacons' 9-hole hitter. That was just the second ball the Beacons have put on the ground in the infield. Something UMass Boston really prioritized after they looked at the scout and saw that most of the Corsairs infielders have struggled defensively, especially on the left side. Both DeSarcina and Nell committed 6 or more errors. Brings up Riley, who was a Gold Glove candidate a season ago. Takes a breaking ball on the inside half, 0-1. Riley hit a very high pop-up in the shallow center that was caught by DeSarcina to lead off the bottom of the first. Fastball just misses. Heatherman's got some good zip to his pitches, 1-1. Riley had a nice day in Game 2 against Keene State as he fouls that one off weakly. Went 3 for 5 with 2 runs, 2 RBI, and an inside-the-park home run to dead center against the Owls in Game 2 as the Beacons ran away with that contest. 1-2 to the senior from Quincy. Swings and misses the breaking ball. 2 strikeouts in the inning. 3 strikeouts total for Heatherman through 3. The Corsairs looking for the upset as they lead the number 23 team in the country 2-0.
Celebrate the soggy shoes and the slow starts. Celebrate the lessons learned along the way. These are the wins. Not the shiny, nail-biting kind. These are the last a lifetime kind.
A cold day, but certainly a pretty one, as you can see the Boston skyline out behind the mini monster out there in left field. Also a busy day to our left as a lot of the Boston College high school teams continue to practice in anticipation of their season openers. The high school season here in Massachusetts starts behind the college season. After all, Beacons are playing their 13th game of the season, UMass Dartmouth their 15th, but we certainly haven't seen a lot of true spring weather. Sunday was decently nice. Both of these teams played conference doubleheaders. This upcoming weekend, temperatures in Boston supposed to hit the 60s on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, which will be a welcome change. The Beacons in action on Sunday. They have an LEC bye, so they don't play Saturday, but they'll play 2 against a very strong team out of the Commonwealth Coast Conference in Salve Regina on Sunday at noon and 3. The 1-0 pitch from Fashionport catches the outside corner. 1-1 to Nick Andrews, who struck out swinging with the runner on second to end the first inning. Andrews, one of 4 strikeout victims thus far, and he's behind 1-2. Andrews played his high school ball at Bridgewater Raynham High School before playing 2 years at Massasoit Community College, one of the better community colleges in terms of baseball here, and he takes that pitch off the front arm, and he is in a lot of pain. He's got the elbow protector, but that one caught him closer to the hand, and he is really in pain, grimacing. Is that one, I don't know if it caught the hand or the wrist, but either way, it can't feel good, especially with these cold temperatures. And he's the first leadoff batter to reach, but I'm sure he would have rather reached in a different way.
The designated hitter, number 24, Pat Vartanian.
So Andrews is aboard after the hit by pitch, and it brings Pat Vartanian to the plate. He lined out to left to start the second. Vartanian tied for the team lead with his 5 doubles. UMass Dartmouth already has 2 doubles and a triple against Fashionport. Gave up 2 runs in the first and has kept the Corsairs off the board the last 2 half innings as that breaking ball bounces up there 1-0. Vartanian, over his last 2 games, 0 for 7 with 2 strikeouts. He was given game number 2 off against Eastern Connecticut State, making his 12th appearance, 15 games. The Beacons will throw over, but nothing doing there with Andrews, who is a perfect, was actually 3 for 4 in the base pass this season, went 4 for 4 last year at Massasoit Community College. UMass Dartmouth, they do tend to run into some outs on the base pass. An aggressive team, but their percentage isn't all that strong. Is hit and run there, and it's fouled off by Vartanian on a pitch that was going to be well outside the zone. On the season, the Corsairs are just 17 of 29. It's a lot of runners caught stealing, especially this early in the year. That's a 58% mark on the base pass. You'd love to be in the 70s, at least the 60s. And they're not a team that plays a lot of small ball, just 4 bunts. So they're really going to rely on those extra base hits. We saw it in the first inning, a single and 2 doubles. 1-1 coming here to Vartanian, the Canton, Mass native. He's had 4 multi-hit games this year. Fastball down and away, 2-1. Fashionport had to throw a lot of pitches in that first inning. It's already up to 53 with no outs here in the 4th. Was able to go 7 complete the other day, but that was in large part because of how effective he was. Didn't allow a lot of base runners, just the 2 hits. Struck out 10. And I think in part because of how close the game was. The Beacons were never really able to open it up against the Hawks. They kept him in because of his effectiveness. 2-1, runner fakes taking off, pops it up. Might be playable. Riley running in. It's going to end up 5 rows up in the stands. Very difficult to see the pop-ups behind home plate inside our press box. 2-2 now to Vartanian. We've already seen some movement from Andrews on a couple of pitches, so might be off here on the 2-2. Another throw over. Vartanian, a guy who likes to pull the ball. His first at bat lined it out to left, and right now you see McCormick out there in left field is very close to the line. Breaking ball out for ball 3. Even the Beacon center fielder, Danny Brown, is very far on the left side of second base. Herzog has a ton of room to cover if Vartanian can put one down the right field line. The 3-2 runner takes off. Breaking ball is just a little bit low for ball 4. So a hit by pitch and a full count walk. Second walk of the game for Fashion Poor, and it'll bring up the 8-hole hitter Mitch Baker with a chance to do some real damage.
The catcher, number 9, Mitch Baker.
Baker struck out swinging on a half-hearted check swing back in the second inning. A guy who has just not been able to put it all together as a junior after being one of my favorite players to watch in the Corsairs lineup as a sophomore. Baker coming into this one hitting 156, 7-45, now 7-46 with the conference leading 24 strikeouts. Over half of his plate appearances have ended with strikeouts. Puts down the bunt. Fashion Poor's only play will be to first. Throws it across. It's high, and Collins got his foot down. That is a huge play from Ryan Collins, who's listed at just 5'8", but able to go up and get the foot down in time. Otherwise, it would have been bases loaded with no outs. And now Fashion Poor, if he can get a strikeout, has a chance to get out of another jam.
The second baseman, number 3.
Go down as a 1-4 sacrifice bunt for Baker, just the 5th sacrifice of the season for the Corsairs. Andrews, who was hit by a pitch, moves up to third. Vartanian, who worked the full count walk, moves to second. And John Candialis, who struck out looking to end the second, steps up to the plate with a pair of runners in scoring position. Showing bunt here, pulls it back as the first baseman came way in. Kides had it skip away, but not far enough. So that ball stayed on the red turf, denoting the infield dirt. Of course, this is just a turf complex with the exception of the mound. Boudris is even with the bag just in case there is a possible squeeze play. Riley's in as well. Infielders double play depth. Middle infielders, I should say. 2-0 now to the high fastball misses. 2-0. J.R. DiSarcino 0 for 2 on the day. The leadoff hitter awaits on deck. UMass Dartmouth has been held to just 15 runs over their 4-game losing streak. Already leading 2-0. Chance to extend their lead here in the top of the 4th. Corsairs have been putting all the pressure on the Beacons. 2-0 way outside. Breaking ball that didn't quite break. 3-0. First base is open here, but you hate to walk the 9-hole hitter, and that would put the bases loaded thanks to a hit by pitch and a pair of walks. Not exactly what the Beacons were hoping for, but I'm sure Fashion Poor is struggling a bit with his control due to the cold weather. It's just as cold, if not colder, than a week ago as that fastball catches the inside half. Redlands, California, I was informed after last week's broadcast. It's close to Sacramento, so it's pretty warm inland. A little bit warmer all year round than you're going to get on a cool March afternoon here just off the water in Boston. 3-1, 1 out, runners on second and third. 3-1 pitch. It's hit out to shallow left. This one might get into foul territory. McCormick coming in, not going to get there. So the Beacons, 3 players on the left side all made a bid for it, but couldn't quite get there. That would have been a really difficult play. If Riley had made the catch over the shoulder, not sure if he would have been able to spin and keep Andrews from advancing. So now Fashion Poor at 3-2. Chance for the strikeout, which is what you really want. Or a grounder right at one of your corner infielders to keep Nick Andrews from scoring. 3-2 coming from the Beacons freshman righty to the Corsairs freshman second baseman. 3-2 pitch, fouled back. Nice job of fighting that pitch off by Candialis. Candialis, remember, in the midst of an 0-for-11 streak. A couple of the Corsair batters have gone very cold during this 4-game losing streak. Fashionpour getting the sign from Kides. Andrews at 30, reached on a hit by pitch. Vartani at second on a walk, and that is just a bit low with the fastball right down the middle. Kides held it for a while, but apparently too low, and the bases are loaded thanks to a hit by pitch and a pair of walks. As Fashionpour did not allow a walk through the first 2 innings, but has now allowed 3 walks and a hit by pitch to the last 6 batters he's faced. It'll bring up J.R. DiSarcina. Line out to left, a ground out to third with a chance to extend this lead. And Daniel Gamble, the Beacons' former pitcher and longtime pitching coach, will come out to not only talk to Fashionpour, but go over some infield defense in this spot. Beacons have to be aware of where they're going, whether you're looking for the double play or you're looking for the force at home. Moment of indecision could cost you. Typically in a situation like this, in my mind, you aim for the runner at home unless you're absolutely certain you can get the double play. The other thing, though, is at 2-0, biggest thing here is just getting outs. Have to be confident in your ability to score some runs. Big thing you want to do is avoid giving up a crooked number by trying to do a bit too much defensively. Brings up DiSarcina. Hitting .317, ropes that one out to left center, and that should score at least 2 runs. Brown's over to cut it off, and he bobbles it. Now the runner's going to be sent home from first base. Here comes Candialis, and it's a 3-run double. 2 runs and an error scoring on the double from DiSarcina, and just like that, the Corsairs have opened up a 5-0 lead here in the top of the 4th. Brown was on the run and looked up just a bit as he was trying to find the runner coming from first base, and that cost him as it went off the end of his glove. And DiSarcina is able to clear the bases. Pair of RBI on the play. And that's the 4th extra base hit against Fashionpour today. So already the Beacons have a right-hander warming. It looks like Michael Doherty. So Andrews and Vartanian score. They're both earned runs, and Candialis comes in on the error by Danny Brown out in center. First error of the day for the Beacons, who have as many errors as they have hits. 0-1, swung on and missed by Wood. Actually, he tipped that one off of Kides. As Ryan Emerson, who was hit by a pitch back in the first inning, will give Kides a little bit of time. Wood has been the most successful hitter thus far against Fashionpour. A single, a triple, a run scored, and a stolen base. 0-2 coming as one of the fans here at Monin Park tries to get a little bit warmer. That one is popped up on the infield. Boudris and Collins are fighting for it. Collins will call off Boudris and make the play. Former shortstop who is playing second this year for the Beacons took charge. And going back to that fan, the only reason that I mention him is he's wearing a full fur coat. Kind of looks a little bit like Joe Namath from the 1960s. Maybe a little bit less swag, but that'll probably keep you warm on a day where temperatures didn't quite hit the 40s here in Boston. So 3 runs already in. Fashionpour trying to keep it like that with Nate Tellier at the plate. Tellier is 0 for 2, a pop-up to first and a strikeout swinging, both times leaving a runner at third base with 1 out. Corsairs taking advantage of 2 walks, a hit by pitch, and an error in this inning to score 3 runs. Right now that 3rd run would be unearned as that ball gets away from Kides, but not enough to advance DiSarcina from second base, who lifted a double out to left center. 2-0 with 2 outs. Fashionpour trying to minimize the damage here as he is run into some problem in his first collegiate conference start. Pitched well in his first home start last weekend. Hit right up the middle, and Collins goes up the ladder and makes the play. Nice play there by Ryan Collins to keep the Corsairs from adding a 6th run. It's 5-0 UMass Dartmouth through 3.5.
Paris changed my life, and I got there through UMass. Those very specific seminal moments in Paris, the subway. A man in a tuxedo walked in, and a woman in a long gown. And it was stunning. It all hit me. It was like a lightning bolt. There was this world of beauty and style that I wanted to be a part of. That was the beginning of the journey. And that all came through the University of Massachusetts. And that was really a key moment for me. That's one of those moments you never forget.
Well, we've got a moment. Let's take a look at a couple highlights from the top half of this inning. First, the 2-run double from J.R. DeStarcina, his first hit of the game, and boy, was it a big one. Bases loaded thanks to a hit by pitch and a pair of walks, and he just laces that one in. And then you see Brown just trying to round it, bobbles it, and that allowed Candialis to come all the way in from first. Also, he missed his cutoff man, which made it a little bit tougher. And then it could have been even more if not for a really nice play from Ryan Collins. Ball absolutely laced off the bat of Tellier, and you see Collins going as high as he could and making the play to keep another runner from scoring as DeStarcina off with contact there with 2 outs, easily would have come home. That likely will do it for Fashion-Poor as Mike Doherty continues to warm. Fashion-Poor going 4 innings thus far, allowing 5 hits, 5 runs, only 4 of them earned. The walks an issue today, 3 walks, especially those 2 walks in the 4th inning. He did strike out 4. For the Beacons, it'll be 2-3-4 here in the 4th, trying to get something going against Tucker Heatherman, who's looked great. 0-1 fastball, right down the middle. Cesare thought it was low, 0-2. Cesare flew out to center his first at-bat. Heatherman sporting the short sleeves on a day like today. That's something. Cesare pops it up on the infield. This is going to be in foul territory for Baker fighting the sun, and he makes the play. Very confident defender. He's thought about firing it over at Mike Nell, who was 2 feet away from him, and that might have caused a little bit of dental damage. Heatherman has now retired 6 in a row after giving up a 1-out single to Ryan McCormick back in the 2nd. That's the only base runner for the Beacons through their first 11 at-bats. Brings up Kyle Boudris, the 200 hit man. One of 10 players active in Division III with 200 more hits, and one of 4 Beacons. That one just misses quickly, 2-0. We'll hear from Kyle on Thursday in the pregame with his Beacon Spotlight and his very interesting and simple approach of see-ball, hit-ball. Does just that, a liner out to center, and he's a 1-out base runner for the Beacons here in the 4th. Boudris, a man of very few words, very even-keeled, and he picks up his 202nd hit and extends his hitting streak to 9 in a row, hitting just shy of 370 over the last 9 games. Beacon senior first baseman out of Medford is aboard for Nick Herzog, who's been the team's best hitter this year. Herzog sees the first one bounce up there. Boudris will take off on the wild pitch. And UMass Boston has their second base runner in scoring position and their first with less than 2 outs. Herzog, who flew out into foul territory to Mike Nell, is having a tremendous senior season. Hitting .370, .444 on base percentage, team best .609 slugging percentage. That one is outside as well. Heatherman now falling behind 2-0 to back-to-back batters. Has a team high 17 hits, 12 runs, 10 RBI, 6 doubles. It's tied for first with 1 triple and tied for second with 1 home run. It's also a team best 11 of 13 on the base pass. 2-0 to him. Breaking ball misses. 3-0. Herzog in the midst of an 8-game hitting streak in which he's hitting .464, 13 of 28, 9 runs, 6 RBI. He's also stolen 9 bases in those 8 games, including a career best 4-for-4 mark on Sunday in Game 2. well outside. It's a 4-pitch walk from Heatherman, and maybe that long top of the 4th inning has affected Heatherman a bit, as we'll see Sean Manfredo, the UMass Dartmouth pitching coach, come out and have a chat with his batter. We'll see if any of the other infielders join Baker and Heatherman, who has allowed back-to-back base runners, 2 base runners in a single inning for the first time today. Manfredo retreats to the dugout, and he'll bring up Ryan McCormick, only Beacon who reached in the first 3 innings against Heatherman. McCormick flared a single out to right field in his first at-bat. He's been very good over his last 5 games, 10 of 20. Takes a breaking ball in the outside half. 4 runs, 6 RBI in that span, 4 for 4 on the base pass. Against Keene State in Game 2 on Sunday, 3 for 5 with the run scored, 3 RBI, and a 2 of 2 mark on the base pass. 2 on, 1 out. Beacon's trying to cut into this 5-0 deficit as McCormick flares it foul. That one will get out of the stadium, and it's quickly 0-2. Big at bat for both sides. Beacon's trying to cut into the deficit. UMass Dartmouth trying to keep this comfortable 5-0 lead that they just opened up with 3 in the top half of the 4th. McCormick to be followed by Nico Kaides. Breaking ball misses. Boudris doesn't have tremendous speed at second, but Herzog is the Beacon's fastest runner at first. So a ball to the gap should likely score 2. McCormick is also a pretty good base runner in the batter's box. 1-2. McCormick laces it, and it's just foul. That's the difference in a game like baseball. UMass Dartmouth has hit 2 balls that have landed just inside the fair foul lines. McCormick would have easily scored 2 runs there and probably been on second, if not third base, if that ball's fair. Instead, it's less than 6 inches foul, and he has to retreat to the batter's box. Would have been a huge momentum shift in this game, but instead, just a hard hit foul ball. It's definitely getting by Harrington. 1-2 with 1 out, 2 on. 1-2 pitch is low. Baker keeps it in front this time as it bounced right in front of him. 2-2 now. Beacons 4-0 since returning to New England. 4-0 here at home, trying to keep it that way. Corsairs are 1-5 all time here at Monin Park, but a swing and a miss on a breaking ball, and that's a big strikeout for Heatherman. So he gets McCormick for his 3rd strikeout of the day, and there's now 2 outs with 2 on for Nico Kaides.
The catcher, number 13.
Baseball is such a tough sport, game of inches there, and McCormick could have had a big hit, instead just misses and ends up with a strikeout as that breaking ball bounces up, and Baker another nice stop. Kaides hit a soft grounder right back to the pitcher Heatherman in the 2nd inning that advanced McCormick up to second base. We're going to come through here in the 4th as Baker thought about throwing back to first base behind Herzog, but I don't think he got a good handle on it. 2-0. Herzog with the huge lead there, looking to give himself a chance to score on any ball hit to the outfield. Kaides, the freshman catcher out of Stamford, Connecticut. High school teammates of Danny Colazzo, another Beacons freshman, who has earned a role as a late-inning defensive replacement in left field. 2-1. Kaides looks for another extra base hit. Came in slugging over 500. 2-1. A breaking ball just misses. This is a tough strike zone to figure out for Ryan Emerson. We've seen him give a little extra on the outside portion of the plate to righties on fastballs, but it seems like the breaking balls, there's no love for these 2 right-handed pitchers. 3-1 to the Beacons freshman backstop. 2 on with 2 outs, and Kaides takes a fastball on the inside portion of the plate, 3-2. Runners will be off on the pitch. Kaides just looking to flare one in front of one of the outfielders. Even better yet, into one of the gaps to cut into this 5-0 deficit. 3-2 coming, and it's strike three. Kites knew it. Took a fastball on the outside portion of the plate. Very similar to where that breaking ball was, but again, Emerson's like the fastballs on the outside half. And that'll do it for the Beacons in the fourth. They put multiple runners on for the first time today, but back-to-back strikeouts from Heatherman sets the Beacons down with a 5-0 deficit.
College has given me the flexibility to pursue my passions and my interests, and I've recreated my identity for myself aside from just being an athlete.
My greatest personal discovery has been that I am capable of doing things that I didn't know I was capable of doing.
To be able to study what I wanted to and continue to play the sport I love, all of those things came together very nicely in one package in Division III.
The Beacons have elected to go to the pen after 4 innings. Dylan Fashionpour's day is done. 4 innings pitched, 5 hits, 5 runs, 4 earned, 3 walks, and 4 strikeouts. The walks really costing Fashionpour in the top of the 4th inning as he allowed 3 runs. The 3 batters reached on a hit by pitch and a pair of walks, and then an error by Danny Brown, making it even worse. Mike Daugherty, well, he's been one of the Beacons' better relievers in his 2 seasons for UMass Boston. You see there, very impressive numbers. 1-0 with a 1.42 for the Beacons' sophomore righty out of Brewster, Mass. Attended Nauset Regional High School, 6 foot 235. He's got strikeout stuff just like Fashionpour. One of the guys the Beacons rely upon for multiple innings or late game situations. Kind of the new fireman role in baseball where you just ask him to come on whenever you need him, and he's been effective. Daugherty this year making his 5th appearance, 6 1/3 innings, 4 hits, 1 run, 1 earned, 7 strikeouts versus 3 walks. Opponents hitting just 182 against him. Does have a save on the season along with a victory. And his role right now, it's pretty simple. Keep the Corsairs from adding any more runs to the scoreboard. UMass Boston does have familiarity with coming back already this season, especially here at home. Last week they fell behind 7-0 through 2.5 innings against undefeated St. Joseph's College of Maine, and then scored 9 of the final 10 runs to earn a 9-8 victory last Wednesday against St. Joseph, Maine. The one thing that I will say is this Corsairs team probably has a better bullpen than St. Joseph, Maine, despite not having a go-to reliever this season. And the other thing is, this Corsairs team right now is playing with a little bit more confidence than we saw at St. Joe's, Maine when things started to go poorly. UMass Dartmouth should have the confidence that they can beat the Beacons. They've done it in the past. Went 0-3 last season, but a lot of these players were on the team back in 2016 that earned a split with the Beacons in the regular season, won a game in the LEC tournament before losing the last 2. UMass Dartmouth, typically one of the peskier teams in the Little East Conference, a team that never gives up and always plays you close. 0-1, chopped over there. Long play for Riley. The throw across is not in time. An infield single for Mike Nell, who has reached in all 3 of his bats. That was a tough play for Eddie Riley, as it was chopped over, and it got there so slowly. He had to round it, and then even then with a strong throw, Nell able to beat it out. So he has an RBI double, a run scored, a walk, and now a single, 2 for 2. So the second consecutive base runner to reach for UMass Dartmouth, and it'll bring up Jack Harrington, the man who has played for both of these 2 programs. Harrington, an RBI double in the first, flew out to right in the second, and he just misses putting that ball fair down the first base line. Clearly, Jack is trying to pull the ball today. That is what the scout reads on Harrington. Pull guy who does strike out a bit. Harrington was never really able to hit enough last season to potentially take the job away from McCormick, who was one of the Beacon's top 3 hitters on the team. Flares that one off the end of the bat down the left field line, 0-2. Harrington on the season in his return to UMass Dartmouth has struck out 8 times in 43 at-bats. Playing first base today, although he and Mitch Baker have been trading starts at first and catcher. Daugherty the throw over. Nell has been on base 3 times, but has yet to attempt a stolen base. Came in 4 of 5 on the season for a Corsairs team that is now 18 of 30. Harrington might have caught a little bit of something in his eyes. The wind right now seems pretty limp, but at points it's been blowing dead in here to home plate. Daugherty, the ball coming out of the shadows, will throw back over. Right now, one of the light posts shadow is right there on the mound. It's the only real shadow on the infield at this point, with the sun still up for another couple hours. Ball fouled off once again. 3 pitches, 3 foul balls off the bat of Harrington. Senior out of Barnstable, Mass., who came to UMass Boston after taking off a season. Right now we see Emerson having a conversation with Daugherty. It's got to be about something Daugherty is doing, either whether he's coming to a full stop or maybe blew on his hand, which you obviously want to keep your hands warm, but umpire wants to make sure there's no potential spitballs coming out. Those haven't been legal in well over 50 years. So they are going to toss that ball over to the Beacons dugout. Nell's aboard with no outs at first base after an infield single. The 0-2 to Harrington, hit right back up off of Daugherty. Bad bounce. Riley's going to pick it up, scoop it, throw, but Harrington is in there at first with the slide into first base, which typically makes you slower, but back-to-back infield singles from a pair of guys who don't necessarily fly. That one took a bad bounce for Daugherty as it looked like it was going to go right at him and took a right turn. Caught his right leg, and there's 2 on with no outs for Nick Andrews, who has struck out swinging and was hit by a pitch and scored back in the 4th. Yet to put a ball in play. Beacons could desperately use a double play, but they're anticipating a potential bunt in this situation. UMass Dartmouth has already put down 1 sack bunt, and Andrews showing bunt here before the pitch comes. Breaking ball bounces up there in the left-hander's batter's box for ball 1. This is smart. A team that doesn't really bunt all that often, but trying to take advantage of the situation. If you let Andrews swing away here and you hit into a double play, you take yourself out of the opportunity to have a big inning. If you bunt here, you have 2 runners in scoring position with 1 out. All of a sudden, you can score 2 runs with a single, or maybe a wild pitch and a ground out on the right side, and you score 2 runs without getting another hit as Hughie comes in behind Nell there at third base. Lots of movement from the Beacons as they try to avoid an early season conference loss. UMass Boston last year 11-3 in conference play to earn the number 1 seed for just the 2nd time in program history, 2nd time in 3 years. UMass Dartmouth started last year 0-7 in conference play before winning 5 of their last 7 to get into the conference tournament at 5-9. Bunt attempt shown and pulled back 2-0. Big thing this year is you can't afford that slow start like the Corsairs had last year, with a 9th team being added to the conference in Castleton, who has won 5 straight North Atlantic Conference tournaments. 5-9, or in this case 5-11, might not get you into the conference tournament. Corsairs picked 3rd in the LEC behind UMass Boston and Southern Maine. Beacons are 23rd in both national polls after falling 1 spot in the D3Baseball.com poll and moving up 6 spots in the ABCA poll. Southern Maine has moved inside the top 10 in both polls this week, up to 9-2. They absolutely put on a shellacking of Western Connecticut State on Sunday, 2 games played in Hartford, as there's a swing and a miss. The Huskies scored 34 runs on 37 hits. At one point, Western was winning against Southern Maine in Game 2, only for Southern Maine to score 8 runs and then 8 runs in the next inning to turn around a 5-run deficit. 2-2 here. Bunt is out of the question. Andrews tries to put the ball in play for the first time. Breaking ball bounces away from Kides. Nell thought about taking off for third. Thought better of it. And now we'll get a 3-2, and the runner should be taking off. Corsairs leading 5-0 here in the top of the 5th with 2 runners on and no outs. Big 3-2 pitch coming here to Nick Andrews from Daugherty. Swing and a miss. That's what the big man is known for, and Mike Daugherty comes up with his first strikeout of the day. 5th for Corsairs batters, and that's a big first out for Daugherty after a pair of infield singles.
The designated hitter, number 24, Pat Vartanian.
Bring up Pat Vartanian, who lined out to left in the 2nd, walked and scored in the 4th on a 3-2 pitch. Vartanian, one of a number of seniors on this Corsairs roster who have been close to winning an LEC tournament, close to making the NCAA tournament. Certainly a team that has gotten some regional love in the NCAA regional rankings, but has not been there. Of course, in 2016, it was Eastern Connecticut State sweeping their way through the LEC tournament here in Boston, defeating Western Connecticut State in the finals. In 2017, up at Southern Maine, it was UMass Boston defeating UMass Dartmouth. And last year, in the games played here at Monon Park, it was UMass Boston defeating Eastern Connecticut State in the LEC tournament finals. So the Corsairs have been in the tournament each of the past 3 years. In fact, been in the tournament ever since, at least since 2013, because these two teams have played every year since 2013. But they haven't been able to get to the promised land under Bob Prince during that stretch with some very talented teams. 1-0 coming here to Vartanian with the Beacons throwing behind the runner at second. But again, Nell able to dive in time. Mike Nell's out at second base, reached on an infield single to third. Jack Harrington is at first after singling off of Daugherty on the mound. And it's Vartanian looking for his first hit of the day. Corsairs already have 7 here through 4 1/3. Ripped out to left. Is it going to stay fair? No. This time Vartanian got too much behind it, and that ball went into the netting. Otherwise, it would have likely scored 2. UMass Boston with just 2 hits through 4 innings against Tucker Heatherman, but the question becomes, all these long innings, is that going to hurt Heatherman? He certainly didn't look as effective in the bottom of the 4th after giving up a hit and then a walk before getting back-to-back strikeouts. Also, I'm hoping that he's wearing a nice big jacket in the dugout, because with those short sleeves, he's making me cold out on the mound. 1-1 with 1 out and 2 on. Daugherty's pitch, it's hit out to left center. It should be playable for Brown, who's heading back towards the track, and that one's going to get off the wall. Nice job by Brown from keeping the runners from advancing. It's just going to be a single as Nell had to hold up, but that was a tremendous defensive play by Danny Brown. If we can get a look at that highlight, he made it look to everyone here at Monon Park as if he had a chance to make the catch, which kept Nell from advancing any further. That ball certainly was a little bit wind-aided. It didn't look like it had a chance to make it all the way to the wall, but that time the wind blowing a little bit from right to left, allowing that ball to push out a little bit further. The bases are loaded for Mitch Baker, who's in the midst of a really tough stretch to start the season, but has a chance to break out of it in a big way right here. Bases full of Corsairs thanks to 3 singles. Baker, 0 for 1 today, a strikeout swinging and put down a sack bunch. It's the 5th of the year for the Corsairs in the 4th. Baker did hit 2 home runs last year at Monon Park, 1 against the Beacons, and then added 1 in the LEC tournament. 2 of his 4 career home runs have come at this complex as he's quickly behind 0-2. Daugherty in his first inning of work has allowed 3 singles and has struck out a batter. Would love to get a second strikeout here. Nels at third, Harrington at second, Vartanian at first, all reached on singles. 2 infield singles and 1 wall ball. 0-2's pitch swung on and missed, and Baker continues to strike out at a very high rate. Now 25 strikeouts in less than 50 at-bats this season.
The second baseman, number 3, John Candialis.
That is the second strikeout for Daugherty, second strikeout for Baker, and 6 total strikeout for the Corsairs. And they'll bring up John Candialis. Candialis struck out looking to end the second, and then walked and scored back in the fourth. Came all the way in from first base on an error from Danny Brown. First pitch to Candialis is low and outside. Nowhere to put the freshman second baseman out of Attleboro, Mass. So Daugherty cannot afford to work behind. That's what caused Dylan Fashionpour issues in the fourth inning when he hit a batter and allowed a pair of walks. Just could not keep his control there. Daugherty hasn't really struggled with the control. It's just been a pair of softly hit infield singles and then that maybe wind-aided single. We'll take a look at that play at the end of the half inning, depending on what happens here with this batter and any future batters. But that could be a huge play by Danny Brown, who cost the Beacons a run in the last inning. Well, might have saved them 1 or 2 runs here in this inning with the way that he was able to deceive the Corsairs base runners. It's a really underrated trait of a good outfielder. They're able to fake out the base runners enough and the base coaches on a ball that's going to get over their head that they recognize if they can keep base runners from advancing extra bases. 1-1 just outside. Candialis thought about it but held off. 2-1. Nell at third, Harrington at second, Vartanian at first. The 2-1 from Daugherty, and it bounces up there 3-1. It's going to have to give the freshman something to hit right now. Beacons cannot afford to continue seeing this deficit continue to widen. If Candialis were to reach, J.R. DiSarcina would be up next. All he did was have a 2-run double his last at bat. 3-1 in there for strike 2. Low, but on the outside corner, and Ryan Emerson gave the Beacons the call. 3-2 pitch coming. It's a huge one in this game. Daugherty versus Candialis. Long set. Daugherty comes. The 3-2 is high. Ball 4. Candialis works his second straight walk. This time it's an RBI walk, and Mike Nell is able to trot in from third base. The Corsairs have now scored a run in 3 of their first 5 at-bats.
Shortstop number 5, J.R. DiSarcina.
Brings up J.R. DiSarcina, who has a chance to really blow this game wide open. His last at-bat made it a 5-run lead, pushing a 2-0 lead to 5 runs with a 2-run double. And now he hits one through the left side, and this will add at least 1, if not 2. They're going to send Vartanian. The throw from McCormick's a good one. They have him dead to right. Spikaitis can't make the catch on the high bounce, and it'll allow 2 runs to score. And now the ball's thrown out to second base by Daugherty, and UMass Dartmouth has made it an 8-0 lead thanks to the 2-run single from J.R. DiSarcina, who has 4 RBI for the game. So Harrington and Vartanian come in to score there. Candialis moves up to third on the throw. DiSarcina takes second on the throw home. And there's 2 runners in scoring position for Chris Wood, who has singled, tripled, and popped up to second. UMass Dartmouth has leapt out to an 8-0 lead over UMass Boston here in the top of the 5th inning. Corsairs team who come in ice cold, a Beacons team that was really going well, but that has not been the case here through the first 4.5 innings. Doherty comes set. The 0-1 is flared out, foul down the third baseline. Riley's going to give chase, but run out of room, 0-2. These two teams will meet again next Tuesday at UMass Dartmouth. This is a new thing in the LEC with the 9th team being added in Castleton. You still play 5 conference weekend doubleheaders, but you also play 2 of your more local teams. So for the Beacons, they've always played Southern Maine. UMass Dartmouth has always played Rhode Island College. Well, now they'll still play those 2 teams back-to-back Tuesday in a home-and-home, but you'll also play another team with the home-and-home. So obviously it made sense for UMass Boston, UMass Dartmouth, about an hour away, to be travel partners. So the 0-2 breaking ball is on the outside corner for strike 3, but not before UMass Dartmouth adds 3 more runs in the 5th inning. It's 8-0 Corsairs through 4.5.
UMass Dartmouth in the top of the 5th inning. They scored 3 runs on 4 hits. There were no.
I'm the first undergraduate alumnus to lead this university. I'm very proud of that. I was literally able to transform my life because of the University of Massachusetts, and I want that for every single student that walks through the door.
Got a pair of highlights to look at. First, the play by Danny Brown, which would have been a lot bigger if the Beacons had been able to get out of it sooner. This was when the game was still 5-0. Runners on first and second. And look at Danny Brown out there. He makes it look as if he's going to have a play. At the last second, he backs up and is able to quickly get the ball in. So instead of having a runner score there, kept the bases loaded. The Beacons had a chance to get out of it with 2 outs, but then an RBI walk, and here's the 2-run single from J.R.D. Sarcina. Good throw from McCormick, but that high bounce off the turf over the head of Kides, and that allowed the second runner to score. So 8-0 in favor of UMass Dartmouth. They've scored 2 in the first, 3 more in the 4th, and 3 in the 5th. Kind of under the radar there. Mike Doherty was able to strike out the side, but he also gave up 3 runs, and I'm sure Doherty would much rather keep that ERA down than continue to add to his impressive strikeout total. Corsairs have done most of their damage with 2 outs. 2 runs in the first inning, 3 more in the 5th. 5 of their 8 runs have come with 2 outs. The Beacons need to get something going offensively. It'll be Danny Brown, followed by Ryan Collins and Charlie Hughey. 7-8-9 for UMass Boston. Beacons have 2 hits and a walk thus far against Tucker Heatherman. Heatherman, the Southern New Hampshire transfer who appeared in 2 games in 2 seasons with the Penmen, redshirted his freshman year, and then threw an inning apiece against Mercy University and St. Michael's College. Pitched in both of those games early in the season, but did not pitch the rest of the way, and transferred to UMass Dartmouth to begin this year. It's quickly 3-1 to Brown, who lined out to left on a ball that looked like it had a chance to get down, but Nick Andrews had a good read back in the second. 3-2 now to Brown, who was not only a tremendous baseball player in high school, but was also one of the top statistical quarterbacks his senior year up in Hudson, New Hampshire. 3-2 to him is too far inside. Second walk in as many innings for Heatherman, who's allowed just 4 base runners. And the Beacons have a leadoff base runner for the first time today. So if you're looking for a small positive for UMass Boston, maybe that's it.
The second baseman, number 4, Ryan Collins.
Brings up Ryan Collins. 2 for 25 on the year with 2 runs, a double, and 2 RBI. Highly touted junior college transfer out of Northern Essex Community College, where he hit .404 as a sophomore, .458 as a freshman. Collins, tomahawk chops that one foul in and out of the hands of Brendan Eigerbrodt, who I'm sure we'll hear it a bit from some of his assistant coaches when he gets back to the dugout. Eigerbrodt, the Beacons' third base coach this season after longtime assistant coach Bobby Barrett left. The Beacons also lost associate head coach Kevin Kelly, who's now the head coach at Rutgers Newark. Chance for two. Heatherman the throw. Gisarcina across. And it's a 1-6-3 double play as the Beacons' chances for a run-scoring inning just became a lot slimmer after a nice defensive play from Heatherman.
The shortstop, number 29.
Beacons lost the third assistant coach as well, Ryan McDermott, former UMass Dartmouth player who was with the Beacons for several seasons. Slightly different looking staff. Daniel Gamble, the pitching coach, has been there the longest. Jamil Moquette, a former Little East Conference Player of the Year for UMass Boston, who spent a bit of time in the Baltimore Orioles system. Back for his second season as the hitting coach. Quickly 1-2 on Charlie Hughey. And Fred DeFrance, who was at Ramapo College last season, is in his first year with the staff. That one misses outside 2-2. DeFrance is the man behind the new Beacons baseball Instagram. It's the 2-2, just behind Hughey, which it's the right move to try to get out of the way of the pitch, but with a breaking ball that's probably going to catch you right around the numbers, that's one maybe you lean into. Give your team a base runner with two down. So that one misses anyway, so instead of a hit-by pitch, it's a second walk in the inning. Beacons could have had something if not for that 1-6-3 double play. Brings up Eddie Riley, the Beacons' leadoff hitter, for the third time today. That's in comparison to J.R. Gisarcina, who's already hit 4 times for UMass Dartmouth atop the Corsairs lineup. Riley has popped up to short and struck out swinging to end the third. Takes a pitch low and inside, ball 1. If you're thinking potential comeback, got to figure UMass Boston's got to strike for some runs either here in the 5th or the 6th. It doesn't have to be 4 or 5. Just get a couple. What you really need to do is get into this UMass Dartmouth bullpen. As a team, they have an ERA of 6.45, 87 walks to 116 strikeouts. 116 strikeouts, second in the conference. 87 walks, most in the conference. And without a go-to pitcher this year out of the bullpen, if you can get there, especially here in the 5th, maybe in the 6th, as they do have a pair of arms beginning to warm, maybe you've got a chance. That 6.45 ERA includes having their ace, Matt Cronin, back. Now, Cronin has seen his numbers bloat a little bit after finishing as one of the nation's leaders in ERA last year at .98, but still a very respectable sub-4 ERA. Top the stats. That one's shot fair down the third base line. Hughey's going to take off for third. Wood's going to try to cut it off. Rather, that's Andrews, and he'll get it in time. But the Beacons have their first extra base hit. Double down the left field line, and 2 runners in scoring position with 2 down here for Anthony Cesare. So just like that, if you get a single here, all of a sudden 8-2, you feel a little bit better. Brings up Anthony Cesare. Flown out to center and popped up foul behind the plate to Mitch Baker. See what the junior out of Wakefield can do here. Fouls one off as they try to put that pitch in under his hands. Cesare came in hitting .323 with an on-base percentage just below 500, but has not reached today. Does have 7 RBI this season. Long run out there down the right field line. That's why we've got a bit of a delay. 0 for 1 to Cesare with 2 on and 2 outs. Bounces up there, 1-1. Beacons have a pair of extremely aggressive and fast base runners aboard. Charlie Hughey at third. He walked with 2 down, and Eddie Riley had that double. Single should easily score 2, but first we've got timeout from Cesare. Beacons have left 3 runners through the first 4 innings. Trying to avoid leaving 2 more here in the 5th. The 1-1 to Cesare. Big swing. Maybe got a bit of it. 1-2. Heatherman does have 4 strikeouts versus his 3 walks. So allowed 3 base runners in the inning. Could have been a very big inning if not the 1-6-3 double play by Ryan Collins after a leadoff walk to Danny Brown. 1-2 coming to Cesare. And he takes it low with the fastball, 2-2. Corsairs have 8 runs on 9 hits and no errors. The Beacons with no runs on 3 hits and 1 error. Looking to put up at least 1 run in this bottom of the 5th inning. Swung, hit out to left center. This one's going to get down. Andrews ranges over to his right. Riley coming the whole way, and he's easily going to score. A 2-run single from Anthony Cesare, and all of a sudden the Beacons have a little bit of a pulse as they're down 8-2 here in the 5th. After 3 straight base runners reach, and Anthony Cesare comes through in the clutch. Didn't have to hit it hard, just put it in the right spot. And Eddie Riley, who can absolutely fly, easily able to score without a throw. So a walk, a double, a 2-run single, and now it brings up Kyle Boudris, who had one of the Beacons' 2 hits prior to this inning. Boudris had a single back in the 4th, moved to second on a wild pitch, but was stranded there. It's 1-1 now to Boudris, who's riding a 9-game hit streak. For reference sake, Boudris now with 202 career hits, 20 shy of Dan Mantoni, former Beacons 2-way player. He's got another 20 past that to reach Ryan McCormick, maybe a little bit more than that. And then he'd have to get 20 past McCormick as he hits that right at first base. Easy play for Harrington to end the inning to get to Ryan Walsh, who has 266 career hits for the former All-American second baseman. So the Beacons get 2 runs with 2 outs in the bottom of the 5th, but they still finish a negative in the 5th inning. It's 8-2 Corsairs after 5.
The 5-campus UMass system is the university that educates the workforce of Massachusetts. We recognize that we are truly here for a reason, and that recognition inspires us and drives us every single day.
Let's take a look at some highlights from the bottom of the 5th. The Beacons offense finally getting going. Their first extra base hit of the game, and then their first run scoring hit. First it starts with Riley. Doesn't hit it all that hard, but chops it just past Mike Nell at third base. And then the speed of Hughie, plenty to get into third base in time to put 2 runners in scoring position with 2 outs. And then it was Anthony Cesare. And this was huge. Cesare just flaring it out to left center. Got down in front of Andrews, who doesn't even try to throw home. Hits the cutoff man. And that easily plated Hughie and Riley to cut the deficit to 8-2. Which, at 8-2, you don't feel great, but at least you've got some runs on the board. And honestly, at that point, your offense feels a little bit more confident. And maybe Bob Prince starts to think, okay, 8-2, Heatherman's struggling a little bit. If you can get a good start to the 6th inning, maybe you can get that early pull. That's what you're looking for. Force UMass Dartmouth to get more outs with their bullpen. That's what's going to help you. Right now, the Beacons are hoping to get some outs from their bullpen. Mike Doherty in that 5th inning came on in relief of Fashionpour, gave up 4 singles in the inning, 3 runs, all earned, but struck out the side with like a cleaner 6th here as he faces Nate Tellier, the 3-0 hitter, nearly hits him in the back of the helmet. So that one got up, followed by Mike Nell and Jack Harrington. You can hear the chatter on the walkie-talkies. The Beacons potentially getting someone warmed up just in case Doherty struggles. The 1-0 is hit out to right center. Herzog has a beat on it. Barely has to move, and he makes the play for out number 1. It's the first time the Beacons have gotten the leadoff base runner since the third. They got the leadoff base runner in each of the first 3 innings, but the last 2 innings in which UMass Dartmouth has scored 3 runs both times, Corsairs were able to get not only the leadoff base runner to reach, but in the 4th it was the first 2, and in the 5th it was the first 2 as well. So the statistics say you are much more likely to score when you get the leadoff base runner on, and it's even more likely with the first 2 base runners. So it's 0-1 after a foul ball off the bat of Mike Nell, who is yet to be retired. RBI double down the left field line and a run scored in the first, a walk in the third, and then an infield single on a weakly hit ball down to the third baseman Riley. Bang bang play at first, in which Nell was barely able to beat the throw, as he has 2 runs today to go along with his 2 hits. Swing and a miss on the breaking ball up high, 0-2. Doherty came in with a pristine 1.42 ERA. That's going to go up. But he does have 10 strikeouts now in 7 2/3 innings. Gotta love that K per 9 rate. And really, in that 5th inning, he was a little bit unlucky to give up those 3 runs. The first batter, Nell, reached because he hit the grounder so softly to Riley that he didn't have time to make the play. The second batter, Harrington, reached on a ball hit right back at Doherty that took a little bit of a right turn just as it got to Doherty and wasn't able to field it. That ball was hit a little bit harder. It's likely a double play. There's a swing and a miss from Nell. He's retired for the first time, and Doherty has matched Fashionpour with 4 strikeouts in his outing.
The first baseman, number 16, Jack Harrington.
The one big issue that Doherty had was that bases loaded walk to the 9-0 hitter in the 5th. He could have gotten out of the inning with no damage if he'd just been able to retire Candy Alice. Brings up Jack Harrington. Harrington had an RBI double in the first, flew out to right in the 3rd, and then singled to the pitcher and scored in the 5th. One of the few players that I can remember in any sport who has gone from UMass Boston to UMass Dartmouth or vice versa. So he rips one out to right center. This has a chance to get down. Herzog going back, and it one-hops the wall. Harrington's got his 2nd double of the day, his 3rd hit. And Jack Harrington is really enjoying playing against his former squad. Now, there are players who have transferred between the 2 UMass schools. Zeke Sanchez is one example. But I definitely can't remember a player transferring from one of the UMasses to the other UMass and back to the original school.
The left fielder, number 7, Nick Andrews.
In fact, I can't think of many players in any sport who have transferred back to an original school, but it seemed to work for Harrington, who's having himself a nice day with 3 hits, a run scored, and an RBI. He's out there at second base with 2 down for Nick Andrews, who's also a transfer, but he's out of Massasoit Community College. The 0-1, it's 0-1 to Andrews. He is struck out swinging twice. Was hit by a pitch in the 4th and scored on the 2-run double from J.R.D. Sarcina. 0-1, chopped foul. Andrews is still yet to put the ball in play. He's out there in left field after the Corsairs graduated a couple guys like Kenny Michael, who could have been filling that spot, but Andrews has had himself a nice first year in Corsairs navy blue and gold. Although UMass Dartmouth this spring has added a little bit of light blue to their color palette, which is a bit surprising. Softball team has been wearing some jerseys. The baseball team was wearing light blue hats during warm-ups. Not one of their traditional colors. Beacons, of course, in the Beacons blue, which is really very close to a royal blue, but slightly off on the CMYK scale, along with their white. And for whatever reason in this Beacons tequila jersey, they have the light blue, but that's more of an old school Astros look as the 1-2 is fouled off once again. Corsairs leading 8-0 after scoring 2 in the first, 3 more in the fourth, and 3 in the fifth. Beacons on the board thanks to 2 runs in the bottom of the fifth inning on a 2-run, 2-out single from Anthony Cesare. The runner at second is Jack Harrington after a 1-out or a 1-hop double to the wall. This one's hit out to right. Herzog should have a much easier play here. And Doherty is through his second inning of work. Still a little bit frustrated after giving up that double to Harrington. A rare scoreless inning, just the third and sixth innings for UMass Dartmouth. We'll see if the Beacons can cut into the deficit any further. They trail 8-2.
UMass Boston was my first choice because when I came to the campus, I saw that there was a lot of diversity. There's a lot of people. Here there's a lot of international students, so it's really cool to meet people from different countries, different parts of the world. I'm Julia Murphy. I'm from Canton, Massachusetts.
I'm Olivia Murphy. I'm from Canton, Massachusetts.
We're sisters.
We're sisters.
I play volleyball and she plays basketball. Here they have a freshman success community. So each major has their own community that you can join as a freshman, and you take classes with them, you do study groups with them. So it was really helpful getting to know people in your major right away.
So in health exercise sciences, we have an internship at the end, so it's so much better to have like an advisor helping you out, like telling you which classes.
4, 5, 6 for the Beacons here in the bottom of the sixth. Beacons trying to get back into this game. They came back from 7-0 last Wednesday against St. Joe's of Maine. Went down 8-0 in this game. The only issue is they have a little bit less time to come back than they did last week when they were down 7-0 after 2.5. As Herzog, a check swing, he didn't mean to make contact with that ball, but it caught his bat anyway and goes foul. Nick today is 0 for 1, struck out looking to start the second, and then worked a 1-out walk back in the fourth. The Beacons had 2 on with 1 out, but then Tucker Heatherman, the man still on the mound, struck out a pair of batters to end the inning. Heatherman allowed 2 runs in the fifth after walking 2 batters and giving up back-to-back 2-out hits. The 1-1 is a little bit low and outside, but to be quite honest, you have a better view than we do here in the press box with that center field camera, because that looked very good to me up here, as that one just misses Herzog 2-1. Herzog leads the Beacons in average slugging, runs, hits, and RBI. Takes that one on the outside half. Was hoping that was ball 4. Beacons need base runners more than anything else, but the senior out of Riverhead, New York, is going to have to see another pitch. The 3-2 fouled back on a pitch that was in a similar spot. Herzog to be followed by Ryan McCormick and Nico Kites. The Beacons look to get to the pen here for UMass Dartmouth. They do have a righty warming. Ball hit over to the shortstop. D. Sarcina takes a nice high hop to throw. Across is not there in time. Even if Harrington had held on, I don't think he would have beat the very, very speedy Herzog. We'll take a look at the replay just in case. From the right, I'm hearing error. See what the video says. That was a bang-bang play. And Herzog, the fastest man in the 40-yard sprint for the Beacons, made it a little bit tougher on D. Sarcina. So we'll take a look at that after this first pitch and see whether we have conclusive evidence one way or another. Either way, Herzog's aboard. McCormick, 1 for 2 today, a single and a strikeout swing. And this ball is going to tail foul, and that's to the Beacons' benefit, as Harrington clearly had that ball in his glove on the wrong side of the baseline. Let's take a look at that highlight when we have it. Allie Crawford pulling double duty right now, directing and doing the instant replay. So we'll give her a little bit of time. We'll take one more pitch, Allie. McCormick has been red hot, 10 for his last 21. Trying to add to that total right here as they throw over, and Herzog a little bit slow getting back. Herzog is a real threat to go. Guy just like Charlie Hughey, who's constantly been a base threat throughout his career. Hughey became the 8th player in program history to reach 50 steals the other day. So he has 50 on the dot. Herzog on the season, an impressive 11 for 13 on the base pass. For a couple pickoff throws, the 0-1 to McCormick. It's in there for strike 2, and let's take a look at that replay and just see how close that play was on the grounder from Herzog. And you see it takes that nice high hop for DiSarcina to throw across, and I think Herzog beat that. It's tough a little bit on that angle, but it appeared as if Herzog was going to be in there even with the drop by Harrington. So Herzog has his first hit. The Beacons have their 5th. And now McCormick trying to avoid a strikeout here. The 0-2 from Heatherman is just off the corner. UMass Dartmouth wanted it, but you could see Baker taking a little bit extra on that reach across in the right-hander's batter's box there. It's the 1-2, another throw over. Herzog, for his career, 42 of 52 on the base pass. Stolen at least 10 bases each of the last 3 years. Takes off here. Ball hit out to right. This is a double play ball. Wood easily makes the catch. Just needs a halfway decent throw, and he gets it. The Beacons hit and run. McCormick hit it well, but he hit it too well. And the Beacons hit into their second double play in as many innings. That one will go down as a F9-3 double play, and Herzog is retired. If that ball gets down, you're probably talking first and third, maybe even a run scoring with Herzog's speed. Instead, it's right at the outfielder, and the Beacons have 2 outs and no one on, and that's kind of been how this game's gone. I mean, give UMass Dartmouth credit. They've played extremely well in this contest. They've taken it to the Beacons, especially early, and taken advantage of some wildness from Beacons pitchers, but they've also had a couple balls go just fair when the Beacons have had a couple balls go just foul. And that time the Beacons hitting it right at a fielder. So there's a swing and a miss from Kides, who is 0 for 2 today. Grounder back to the pitcher and a strikeout looking to end the 4th. We'll have a look around the conference after this final out of the 6th inning, and it happens right there. Kides strikes out looking for the second time today. That's the 5th strikeout of the game for Heatherman, who's in line for his first win as a Corsair and first win collegiately.
The University of Massachusetts Boston, with its scenic oceanfront campus, easily accessible to downtown Boston, is recognized as a model of excellence for urban public universities. 16 NCAA Division III sports are part of the more than 100 student organizations that create an engaging campus life in America's biggest and best college town. UMass Boston, Boston's urban public research university.
And welcome back. Let's take a look around the conference while we get you the numbers on the new Beacons relief pitcher. Keene State out to a 3-1 lead over Plymouth State. Keene 0-2 in conference play. This is Plymouth State's first conference game of the season. Rhode Island College leads Eastern very early, 3-0. Eastern swept this UMass Dartmouth team. So could be seeing a lot of teams pick up their first conference win of the year, UMass Dartmouth included. They still have 3 innings to get through. Could be seeing a lot of teams take their first loss in UMass Boston and Eastern Connecticut State. And even potentially Plymouth State, who's playing their first conference contest. See if we can get you the numbers on the Beacon's new pitcher momentarily. The new pitcher for the Beacons is Ben Gottesman. Gottesman, the junior out of Acton, Mass., 5'10", 160. Let's take a look at the numbers on the man they call Benny G. Making his 7th appearance on the team. That's tied for first with Bobby Tremondosi, the Beacons closer. 1-0 with the 2.57 ERA, 7 innings of work, 6 hits, 4 runs, 2 earned, 9 strikeouts versus 4 walks. Opponents hitting .240 against him. That'll end Mike Doherty's contest. Doherty ended up allowing 5 hits over 2 innings. Gave up 3 runs, 3 earned. Did strike out 4 and walked 1. The walk was very costly as it allowed a run to score with the bases loaded. Gottesman will face 7, 8, 9 for the Corsairs here in the 7th. Pat Vartanian, Mitch Baker, and John Candialis. Vartanian is 1 for 2 today. So he pops that one up in a shallow right center. Collins going back. Herzog's going to call him off, and he'll easily make the play. Nick has been very busy out there in right field today. Brings up Mitch Baker, who is one of the few guys who's struggled in the lineup today for the Corsairs, who have 10 hits through 6 1/3. Baker has struck out swinging twice and has put down a sac bunt, 0 for 2. Big junior catcher out of Braintree takes a breaking ball off the outside corner. 1-0. Gottesman, a guy who didn't pitch much as a freshman, earned a much bigger role as a sophomore, and is one of those trusted guys here as a junior, especially with Joe McGuire moving to the starting rotation, losing one of those back-end guys. Gottesman pitched in each of the Beacons' first 2 games, throwing an inning apiece against St. John Fisher in both games. Threw an inning where he allowed 1 run against Keystone College, but picked up the win as the Beacons took the lead in the bottom half of the inning. So the 1-1 pitch is just a bit inside, 2-1. Threw 2 scoreless innings against Washington and Jefferson in the Beacons' second to last game in Florida. Then he came on and finished the game against Roger Williams the other day. Actually was the second to last pitcher, so he couldn't quite finish it with an inning and a third, allowing 2 hits and 2 unearned runs before coming on in Game 2 on Sunday and throwing 2/3 of an inning, picking up a strikeout against Keene State. So already the Beacons' 3rd conference game, and he's pitched in 2 of them. 3-1 pitch, hit over to Riley. Riley scoops, throws a laser, and it is in time, I believe. Very slow call there from Mike Rabideau for out number 2 as Baker moves to 0 for 3 on the day.
The second baseman, number 3.
Brings up John Candialis. Candialis has not put the ball in play, but he's had a nice day. Struck out looking to end the 2nd. Worked a walk and scored in the 4th. And worked a bases loaded walk in the 5th before being stranded at 3rd base. Not a half bad day for the freshman second baseman, who still is looking to break out of a little bit of a hitting slump. Candialis 0 for his last 11, but have to be happy with those 2 walks. They've both been very productive for his team. 1-1 here to the 9-hole hitter. Gottesman looks for the 1-2-3 inning. Would just be the 2nd of the day. And Collins easily makes the play at second base. UMass Dartmouth goes down 1-2-3. We head to the 7th inning stretch. It's UMass Dartmouth leading 8-2 over the 23rd ranked Beacons.
The University of Massachusetts Boston, with its scenic oceanfront campus, easily accessible to downtown Boston, is recognized as a model of excellence for urban public universities. 16 NCAA Division III sports are part of the more than 100 student organizations that create an engaging campus life in America's biggest and best college town. UMass Boston, Boston's urban public research university.
Got a couple changes for UMass Dartmouth. They will put Tyler Lyons in the lineup out in center field. Nate Tellier, the center fielder, has moved to the pitching spot, and they've lost the designated hitter. So Pat Vartanian is out of the game. And it'll be Tyler Lyons, the freshman out of Wallingford, Connecticut, who replaces him in the 7-hole playing center field. And now we talk about Nate Tellier. I said that he was one of my favorite two-way players. Well, he started a game in the LAC tournament, and he'll come on in relief. Remember, Bob Prince doesn't have a go-to pitcher. Well, it'll be Tellier who gets the first look, and he has been good this year, making his 4th appearance, 1-0 with a 1.52 ERA out of the pen. 6 innings, 4 hits, 1 run, 1 earned, 6 strikeouts versus 2 walks. Opponents hitting .211 against him. I would say that he's not a go-to guy because how sustainable is it to take out your center fielder every game? Although you could put him back in center field, I believe, and then have the pitcher hit. But Tellier comes on in relief of Tucker Heatherman, who's in line for the win. Heatherman finishes allowing 5 hits and 2 runs, 2 earned over 6 innings. He walked 3 and struck out 5. So a chance for the junior to pick up his first collegiate victory. On the other side, Tellier will face 7, 8, 9 in the Beacons lineup as Danny Brown thought about swinging there, holds off, and it's quickly 2-0. Brown will be followed by Ryan Collins and Charlie Hughey. 2-0 is in there. Fastball down the middle, 2-1. Tellier already making his 4th appearance. In contrast, as a freshman, he made 7 appearances out of the pen. As a sophomore, he made 5 appearances, 3 starts, just 15 innings. And a big part of that was some injuries down the stretch that forced him to pitch, including in the LAC tournament when they ran out of arms. Through 3 scoreless innings against Wartburg on the 9th of March as part of a doubleheader. 2 innings allowing 2 hits and an earned run against Montclair State on the 14th of March down in Florida. Brown fists that one fair. Harrington bobbles it, but makes the play. It's the second time in 3 innings that Harrington has been able to record an out 3U. In Tellier's 3rd appearance, he threw a near-perfect inning against Wheaton 2 Fridays ago, allowing just 1 walk in a scoreless inning. Beacons are going to go to the bench here. It's Ryan Palma, the pinch hitter. Nick Palma replacing Ryan Collins. Beacons have a lot of Ryans and a lot of Nicks on the roster, so if in doubt, just throw out one of those 2 names and you'll be right more than you think. Palma, sophomore, listed as an outfielder / first baseman. We have seen him play a little bit of outfield, mostly a pinch hitter. Out of Peabody, Mass, 5'11", 185. Attended Peabody High School. The Beacons have gotten a lot of players out of the Peabody area. So after a long delay, Palma's officially in the game. It's 1 for 9 this year in 10 appearances. That one bounces up there. A lot of velocity behind that pitch from Tellier. 1 run scored, 2 RBI, 4 strikeouts versus 1 walk. So freshman appeared in 13 games. Same situation, a lot of pinch hits, 3 for 16. Highly touted hitter, but it's still yet to get going as that one's high. One of the things that Brendan Eigerbrod has really stressed to a lot of his underclassmen is the fact that you just have to be patient. The Beacons have so many senior returners and senior starters that a lot of positions are going to be open next year, but you might have to sit a year or even 2. And you look at Danny Brown. When he originally committed, he was committing to a D1 school, came to UMass Boston, and it took until his junior year to be a regular starter. So sometimes that patience pays off. It's 2-1 to Palma, who takes it right down the middle, 2-2. Beacons need base runners here in the 7th. And even at this point, obviously you're looking for the win. But if you're UMass Boston, can you make this game a little bit more respectable? Because you play UMass Dartmouth next week, you might see the same 2 starters. Heatherman, I would definitely expect to start as that's strike 3 looking, and Palma reacted before the umpire did. It's not going to make Brendan Eigerbrod happy as that's the 6th strikeout of the day for the Beacons, and 4 of those have been by way of the looking K. And that's really a no-no at any level, but especially at the collegiate level. If you can make this game more respectable, you get some confidence going into next week. Beacons will likely see Heatherman. Maybe UMass Boston throws a different starter. Joe McGuire could be in line. He's one of the Beacons' midweek starters. You could see McGuire maybe start next Tuesday against UMass Dartmouth and use Dylan Fashionport against a different team. Beacons next week. Outside of playing UMass Dartmouth, so I'm trying to get the schedule. Actually, the Beacons don't play UMass. All right, let's get the week straight. One is high. Beacons actually won't play on the road against UMass Dartmouth until the 30th of April. So instead of going back-to-back weeks, which UMass Boston has always done against Southern Maine, these 2 teams won't see each other for a month. So throw out that possible confidence and momentum idea. Beacons will face Southern Maine on the 9th and 16th, but that's a really weird scheduling quirk. There's a swing and a miss from Hughie, 3-2. And honestly, I'm not much of a fan of that. If you're going to face a team twice in a home and home, it'd make a lot more sense to play them back-to-back weeks rather than playing them the first week of the conference season and then the last week of the conference season. 3-2 is out of the zone. First walk and first base runner that Tellier is allowed. And at that point, it kind of takes away some of the scouting from playing that first game, because by the time you wait a month, some of the guys who are red hot are going to be ice cold. Some of the guys who are ice cold are going to be red hot. You might have some new starters. You could see 2 totally different starters, and it's weird to play every team twice the same day, play one team twice within a week, and then play another team within a month. 1-0 here to Eddie Riley, who is 1 for 3 as the throw over. Not even a tag applied there to Hughie. Riley popped up to short, struck out swinging, and then doubled down the left field line and scored back in the 5th. 1-0 coming to the Beacons leader in home runs is fouled off. Take a look at the Beacons schedule for the rest of the week. In between half innings, UMass Boston will close out their 8-game homestand. They were 4-0 coming into today, but it's looking less and less likely to keep that winning streak going with just 7 outs remaining, down 6. Throw over, tag applied this time, but Hughie's back in time. Hughie with 50 career stolen bases. It's not a mark you see a lot. With those 50 career stolen bases in 62 attempts, he's 7th all time. Needs one more stolen base to tie former teammate Sal Fruscino with 51. Has a ways to go if he has any thoughts of setting the program record. It's the 2-1 coming here to Riley after a long look from Tellier. Instead, we'll get a little bit of a break. The record for stolen bases in a career is none other than Ryan Walsh. Holds the hits record, holds quite a few records. Walsh stole 79 bases during his 4-year career. So that one is low and away. Mark McCormack, who finished 2nd in hits, we talked about him earlier, who graduated 1 year after Walsh. McCormack finished with 70, followed by Jamil Moquette. So 3 of the most famous Beacons in terms of program records, back to back to back. That one bounces up there. Back-to-back walks from Tellier. And it'll bring up Anthony Cesario as the biggest hit of the day for the Beacons. A 2-run single back in the 5th. Talked about UMass Dartmouth struggling with their control. That's 5 walks on the day versus 6 strikeouts. UMass Dartmouth came into today's contest with a league-high 87 walks allowed. Just finishing off the stolen bases marks, the record for stolen bases in a season is 34 by Drew Tambling, who finished with 55 over his career. Was not a 4-year player. The record for stolen bases in a single game is 4, which Nick Herzog tied on Sunday. 5 different players have stolen 4 bases in a game. Before Herzog, the most recent to do it was Mike Matty back in 2011 against MCLA in Florida. 2 on with 2 outs for Cesare, who takes it low and in. Fastball, and it looks like Tellier's over-pitching a little bit right now. I can't imagine how difficult it is to go from center field without getting a chance to pitch in the bullpen to the mound. Now, granted, you can throw behind the dugouts, you can do this, you can do that, but it's just not the same, and it just shows how good of an athlete Tellier is. So the 1-0 tails away from Cesare, but off the plate, 2-0. Tellier was a terrific swimmer at Attleboro High School, leading his team to the state tournament his junior and senior year, although I think it's more likely to be a state championship meet than a tournament. 3-0 here to Anthony Cesare after back-to-back walks. Kyle Boudris awaits on deck as the Beacons look to get something going here with 2 outs. 3-0 to Cesare. Had the red light, and it's on the corner, 3-1. Cesare is 1 for 3 today. Flew out to center and popped up foul to the catcher in his first 2 at-bats before hitting a single out to left center. 3-1, they throw back, and it's close, and they got him. Hughie is picked off second. That is a huge no-no, and the Corsairs get out of the inning without having to pitch to Anthony Cesare. One change for UMass Boston to start the 8th inning. It's Ryan Leung, who replaces Nick Palma, the pinch hitter. Leung has been trading starts with Ryan Collins as the Beacons have struggled to get a lot of offensive production out of the second base spot in the lineup. Leung, a freshman out of Brookline, Mass., actually listed as a catcher/infielder, but has been seen a lot of time at second base this season. He comes on defensively to start the 8th. Ben Gottesman is on for his second inning of work. Retired the Corsairs 1-2-3 in the 7th. Only the second time the Corsairs have gone down 1-2-3, as they also were retired 1-2-3 by Dylan Fashionpour in the 2nd. The issue is they've been retired 1-2-3 twice, and they've also scored multiple runs 3 times. 2 in the 1st, 3 in the 4th, 3 in the 5th, as that is roped over the head of Riley. And it'll be at least 1 base, if not 2, for J.R. DiSarcina, who takes a long turn and wisely heads back. Ryan McCormick has one of the best left field arms you'll ever see. And DiSarcina is now 3 for 5 with 2 singles, a double, and 4 RBI. Son of longtime Angels shortstop Gary DiSarcina is having himself quite the debut here at Monin Park. I say Angels because when Gary DiSarcina, his dad, was playing with the Angels organization, they were both the California Angels and the Anaheim Angels. Speaking of the Anaheim Angels, closing in on one of the release dates of the Mighty Ducks movies, which was on television last night. Don't know if anyone else caught it, but saw a lot of Twitter love for the Mighty Ducks this morning. The Anaheim Ducks, of course, were founded in 1993 by the Walt Disney organization. The first Mighty Ducks movie that focuses on the Minneapolis team came out in 1992. The second Mighty Ducks movie, where they played in the Goodwill Games in California, came out in 1994, the year after the now Anaheim Ducks, with a different logo, were founded. Don't have any information on the third Mighty Ducks movie, but really, that's the bad one, so it doesn't matter. Brings up Chris Wood, who reached his first 2 times up, but is 0 for his last 2. He singled, stole a base, and scored in the first, tripled off the right field wall, but was stranded there in the 3rd before popping up to second in the 4th and striking out looking to end the 5th. Wood also turned a double play back in the 6th inning when the Beacons tried to hit and run, and it finished with disastrous results because the ball was hit right at the right fielder on a line. Gottesman looking for for what would be a 3rd straight scoreless inning from the Beacons' pen. Dylan Fashionpour started the game, allowed 5 runs, 4 earned over 4 innings. Mike Doherty allowed 3 runs in his first inning of work before straining a runner in scoring position in his second, and Gottesman retired the Corsairs in order in the 7th before allowing a leadoff base runner here in the 8th. One-two to Wood is fouled off once again. UMass Dartmouth has left 7 runners on base today. The Beacons left 4, but that's not going to leave anyone on base as Wood pokes it out to right field. The runner DiSarcina had to stop to make sure it wasn't going to be caught, and thus he'll have to stop after 90 feet. But back-to-back singles to start the 8th, and the Corsairs are back in business. 12 hits on the day, 8 runs scored. This is coming from a team that had lost 4 in a row, scoring less than 4 runs per game, and when you look at the stats from those 4 games, it looks even worse. UMass Dartmouth, in their last 4 games, had just 29 hits over 4 games. So that's about 7 a game, maybe a little bit more. They have 12 today. had just 5 doubles. They have 3 doubles and a triple today, and it struck out 42 times versus 13 walks. Beacon's pitchers have struck out 8, but even 8 is a much lower mark than the 42 times over 40 games. About 10.5. 2 on. Beacon's expecting a potential bunt here from Tellier, the center fielder, now relief pitcher, right at Riley, who has any option, and now he should get a double play. That is one of the wilder plays you're ever going to see. The runner at second stopped, forgetting that he had to, actually the runner at first stopped. He dove back in thinking Riley had caught it, which allowed Riley to take his time and turn a 6-5-4 double play. I don't know if I've ever seen a 6-5-4 double play, and I don't know if I'll ever see one again. But an absolute ripped grounder right at Riley, able to make the play on one hop, and then Hughie doing a really nice job of heads up, screaming at Riley, throw me the ball, and then the runner heading back to first, that was Wood, not recognizing the fact that the ball was live, allowed the Beacons to retire the second runner. No matter what, they should have gotten the lead runner, but getting that second runner, a real boon. Gottesman now just has to face a runner on first in Tellier, because it's technically a fielder's choice 6-5-4 double plays. Tellier takes off and steals the bag. Take a look at that 6-5-4 double, or actually I'm saying that wrong. It's 5-6-4 double play. Of course, to some people, and even to me, it's never made sense why the shortstop is 6 and the third baseman is 5. It's an accepted fact, but it doesn't make it a sensical thing. But a 5-6-4 double play, just the way that is turned is so odd. Let's take a look at it right now on the replay. And it all starts because of how hard Tellier hits the ball. Riley's in on thinking there's a bunt, one hop, and you see him not sure, thinking about going to first, then it's thrown to third, and then the runner at first is just then taking off, so the Beacon's able to throw it over to Leung. Our camera operator was confused, Riley was confused, but in the end, the Beacons get 2 outs. And that's sometimes why you bunt. It makes sense to think about swinging. Maybe if that ball gets past Riley, you score a run, but if you bunt, you guarantee there's no double play, and that's certainly one of the odder double plays that will be turned this year at Monin Park. 2-2, 2 outs for Mike Nell with the runner at second base. A chance for Tellier, the pitcher, to score and add to his lead, but instead Nell takes strike 3. First strikeout of the day for Gottesman, 9th for Beacon's pitchers. Gottesman has thrown a pair of scoreless innings. We head to the bottom of the 8th. The Beacons down to their final 6 outs, down by 6.
What separates UMass Boston from other schools is the fact that a large percentage of students commute. For me, it takes 2 hours each day to go to and from school, but every second has been worth it because the students that come here are serious about learning, they value their education, and understand where it'll take them in the future. This is what UMass Boston means to me.
Anthony Cesare steps up for the second consecutive at bat for the Beacons. He was left at the plate in the 7th inning when Nate Tellier was able to turn and pick off Charlie Hughie at second base, which could be a huge play in this game because Tellier had lost the strike zone. After retiring the first 2 batters he faced, coming on from center field, he'd allowed back-to-back walks, and all of a sudden the Beacons had Cesare, their 2-hole hitter, at the plate, ahead 3-1. Even if Cesare walked or just got a single, the Beacons would have had the bases loaded for Kyle Boudris, who's been on a real hot tear, followed by Nick Herzog, their best hitter. Could have been a 2, 3, 4-run inning, and the Beacons had a chance. Instead, Cesare left waiting to start here in the 8th, and the Beacons only have 6 outs left. As Cesare, did he go? He did, and Tellier clearly has found the strike zone again after that delay. Seven strikeout of the day for Corsairs pitchers, and the second for Tellier in an inning in the 3rd. Brings up Kyle Boudris, who is 1 for 2 today with a single, a ground out to first, and a pop-up foul on the third base line. 1-1 now to Boudris, the senior out of Medford, Mass. Started his career as a third baseman, all-conference third baseman as a freshman sophomore. Got hurt last year, moved to DH, all-conference as a DH, and now trying to be all-conference for a 4th straight season this year at first base. It'll be tougher this year, though, because Alex Parkos, the very, very good third baseman at Eastern Connecticut State, who has a ton of pop, has moved across the diamond just like Boudris has, from third base to first base, with DJ Scavone moving over. So Parkos likely will be an all-conference player. Question is, can Boudris make it 4 for 4 as well? 2-2, ball hit out to right, but Wood is there, and he'll make the play diving to the ground as that one died on him at the last second. And Boudris is now 1 for 4. So the Beacons cannot pick up where they left off in the bottom of the 8th inning. And with 2 outs, it's up to Nick Herzog to create something. Otherwise, the Beacons will have a 6 or more run mountain to climb in the 9th. Brings up Nick Herzog, who, just like Boudris, has stretched his hitting streak to 9 games, but hasn't done much more than that. He has struck out looking, walked, and had an infield single to shortstop back in the 6th. Herzog came in with an impressive batting average over 370, slugging percentage over 600, but that could be dropping a little bit if he's not able to reach here. Beacons are hitting just 200 on the day with 5 hits through 7+ innings. UMass Dartmouth hitting 353. Now the Beacons are hitting a little bit better with runners on, 222, and runners in scoring position 250. The issue is UMass Dartmouth goes up to 368 with runners on, and they're hitting 313 with runners in scoring position. The 1-2, Herzog check swing. Baker's going to have to pick it up. The throw down in time, and the Beacons go down in order in the 8th. Tellier adds 2 more strikeouts. He's got 3 in 2 innings. We head to the 9th. UMass Dartmouth still leading 8-2.
The University of Massachusetts Boston, with its scenic oceanfront campus, easily accessible to downtown Boston, is recognized as a model of excellence for urban public universities. 16 NCAA Division III sports are part of the more than 100 student organizations that create an engaging campus life in America's biggest and best college town. UMass Boston, Boston's urban public research university.
Around Beaconville, UMass Boston leads in softball 4-0 over Salve Regina. Those two teams were in the same regional 2 years ago back in Springfield. The Beacons lacrosse team, they're in action on Wednesday. Non-conference game against LaSalle College at 4 p.m. And the men's tennis team is at Suffolk on Thursday at 5 p.m. as they look for their first win of the spring. We are going to get a new pitcher for UMass Boston. Beacons are going to go to their fourth pitcher of the day. First, let's close the line on Ben Gottesman, who had the most successful outing of any Beacon. In 2 innings of work, he allowed 2 hits, no runs, no errors. He struck out 1 and did not allow a walk. The numbers on Chris Monroe, the new Beacons pitcher. Junior out of Marshfield, Massachusetts. It's Chris Monroe. Monroe, bit of a tough start to the year, but he settled down, making his 6th appearance, 0-1 with a 5.40 as he'll face Jack Harrington to start. Harrington has a couple of doubles thus far. So the breaking ball's on the outside corner. 5 innings of work, 8 hits, 5 runs, 3 earned. A strikeout and a walk. Opponents hitting .348 against it. Harrington today with 3 hits, 2 doubles and a single, and a fly out to right. Big swing and a miss there. Now, he does have the advantage of having faced a lot of these Beacons pitchers, especially Doherty, Gottesman, and Monroe, 3 guys on the roster last year. In BP, in inter-squad matches. But the other thing is, the Beacons pitching coach, Dan Gamble, would probably tell you, we know the weaknesses of Harrington. Harrington's just been able to beat the Beacons pitchers today. So he swings and misses. First time he's gone down swinging. That is now the 10th strikeout of the day for Beacons pitchers.
The left fielder, number 7.
Harrington strikes out for the first time. Brings up Nick Andrews. He's gone down swinging twice. Has also been hit by a pitch and scored and flown out to right. Monroe just looking for a very quick, efficient outing, not only for his own confidence, but also just to give his lineup a chance of coming back. I know 6 runs is a lot, but let's remember, UMass Dartmouth this year gave up 6 against Illinois Wesleyan in the top of the 10th inning. They needed 6 to tie the game in Florida. What'd they do? They scored 7. So it's not impossible. Unlikely, yes, but not impossible. 0-2, 1 out for Nick Andrews. These two teams won't meet again till April the 30th, which, if you've been tuned in, already voiced my displeasure with that scheduling quirk. The ball is hit right back up the middle, but Leung was shaded towards the second base bag. Throws it across. Boudris makes the stretch, and Andrews is retired 4-3. That game that will be played at UMass Dartmouth, a 3:30 start on April the 30th, over a month away. For UMass Dartmouth, they have a little bit of a homestand coming up. They'll play Roger Williams from the second time in a week. That's on Thursday. They lost last week to Roger Williams on the road. So that is on the outside corner to Tyler Lyons, who's seeing his first at bat, which are coming on as a defensive replacement. Then on Saturday, UMass Dartmouth will play Plymouth State for a pair as Lions players went out over the head of Boudris. This should easily be 2. Still chugging to second base. Herzog, a little bit slow to get over there, but no chance for Lions to take 3, especially with 2 down. It's already the 6th extra base hit of the day for UMass Dartmouth. So UMass Dartmouth will have a doubleheader against Plymouth State on Saturday at home, and then they'll host Endicott College on Sunday. Endicott typically a top team in the CCC. It doesn't get easier as on next Tuesday, UMass Dartmouth travels to Southern Maine. So a big stretch for the Corsairs and Bob Pritz, bringing the Beacon schedule in between these half innings. Mitch Baker, junior catcher, is 0 for 3 on the day with 2 strikeouts, a ground out to third, and he put down a successful sack bunt back in the fourth. Monroe looking to work around a 2-out double. Foul ball, 0-2. Baker looking to avoid his third strikeout of the day and 26th on the season. Really rough start to his junior campaign after being one of the team's top hitters as a sophomore. Baker has now struck out 25 times in 48 at-bats. So he holds off that time 1-2. In comparison, last year he did strike out a fair amount of times, but we're talking about a full season's worth of games. Baker as a sophomore, when he hit .336, an on-base percentage of almost .450, struck out 21 times versus 23 walks. This year, he's now struck out 25 times versus just 5 walks. The 1-2 breaking ball on the outside corner, and Baker just knew it was inevitable. So Monroe strikes out a pair. The Beacons have struck out 11 on the day. Problem is they've scored just 2 runs. Head to the bottom of the ninth. Beacons' last chance for romance, as the Beacons will bring up 5, 6, 7 to start what they hope is a long inning.
I'm a Division III student athlete, and I know how powerful words can be. The term gay doesn't mean stupid, lame, or less than.
So I pledge to speak up if I hear the term gay used in a derogatory way or any other homophobic terms.
If you can play in Division III.
I'm a Division III student athlete, and my teammates unconditionally accepted me as part of their family. So now I pledge to do the same for others. If you can play in Division III.
Nate Tellier is on for his third inning of work, trying to earn the first save of the season for UMass Dartmouth. Not your traditional save situation, as he's just pitching 3 innings rather than coming on with a 3-run lead or less, but the center fielder also has a chance to come on and earn a save. Very strange situation. So had 0-1 in the count to Ryan McCormick, who watches that fastball tail away from him outside for ball 1. McCormick singled in his first at-bat to right field, struck out swinging the fourth, and then flew into a double play. A hard hit ball right at the right fielder would on a hit and run, which if it wasn't hit right at the right fielder would have likely have been an RBI hit. Instead it cost the Beacons, but it's kind of the way that this game has gone. UMass Dartmouth has been aggressive. They've played well. They've hit well in big situations, and the Beacons have hit the ball okay, but they just haven't gotten some bounces, and then some of the situations have just ended up going the Corsairs' way. It'll be interesting to see how the Beacons bounce back, not only going forward, but also when they face the Corsairs at the end of April. 2-2 is low, 3-2. One thing that I'm sure Bob Prince will be happy with is the way that his 2 pitchers are pitched. Heatherman and Tellier have held the Beacons to 5 hits. Tellier is working on his 3rd inning now without giving up a hit. Strike 3 looking. Catches the inside corner. That corner has grown as this game has gone along. So Emerson is trying to speed this game up by a little bit. It's the 9th strikeout for Corsairs pitchers, 4th for Tellier, and 2 1/3. The Beacons will bring on a pinch hitter here for Nico Kites. It's going to be Brandon Salucci, the junior outfielder who's typically been a DH out of Wyanskill, New York. 6'1", 200, Hudson Valley Community College transfer. Salucci making his 13th appearance, hitting .250 with a .382 on base percentage, 7-28 with 5 runs, 7 RBI, 2 doubles, and a single home run. 10 strikeouts versus 6 walks. He was red hot to start the year. 6 of 17, hitting over .333 with 4 runs and 6 RBI. Since then, though, the last 6 games, 1 for 11 with a run scored and an RBI. So trying to heat back up. Takes a really nice breaking ball a little bit too far inside 1-1. Salucci had a very strong career at Hudson Valley Community College up in Troy, New York. So he swings and misses way out in front of that pitch that bounced up there, and he's very frustrated with himself. As a sophomore in Hudson Valley, hit .312, slugging percentage over .500, 24 hits, 21 runs, 15 RBI, 4 doubles, 3 triples, and 2 home runs. Trying to get something going here in the ninth. The 1-2 on the outside corner. Salucci can't believe it, but up here, seems pretty easy that anything that's close is going to be a strike at this point. So back-to-back looking strikeouts for the Beacons. That's now 5 on the day. And Tellier has had strikeout stuff. 5 of the 8 outs he's retired have been by way of the strikeout. Brings up Danny Brown. Beacons junior center fielder is potentially their last chance in this one. UMass Boston fell behind 8-0. 2 runs in the first, 3 more in the fourth and the fifth. They got 2 back in the bottom of the fifth, but have not been able to cut into the deficit further. Trying to avoid an early conference loss, as that is off the corner. Looked pretty good from up here. 1-1. Beacons have finished conference play 11-3 in each of the past 2 years. Finished second to Southern Maine 2 years ago. 11-3 was good enough for the conference regular season title last year, as Brown went through on that one. Beacons looking to avoid giving up that 3-game winning streak over their rivals. As that's clearly strike 3, a breaking ball that Brown knew it as soon as he saw it cross the plate. Tellier ends a phenomenal game out of the pen, not only picking up the save, but striking out 6 over 3 scoreless inning. The combination of Heatherman and Tellier allowed just 5 hits, 2 runs, and strike out 11 versus just 4 walks. Just what the Corsairs needed to snap their 4-game losing streak. On the other side, the Beacons, not enough timely hitting and unable to close out innings, as UMass Dartmouth scored 5 of their runs with 2 outs. Take a look at the highlights, and then we'll wrap up here on the Beacons Broadcast Network as UMass Dartmouth hands the Beacons their first conference loss, while the Corsairs earn their first conference win of the season. Took third on a pass ball and then scored as he rockets one out to right. Is this one going to stay fair? It's fair, and it gets past Herzog. This should be multiple bases. Boudris ran into the runner. This is going to be a triple either way. I don't think you can give interference for a home run, but there definitely was a little bit of contact between Wood and Boudris. Over half of his plate appearances have ended with strikeouts. Puts down the bunt. Fashionpour's only play will be to first. Throws it across. It's high, and Collins got his foot down. That is a huge play from Ryan Collins. Hitting .317. Ropes that one out to left center, and that should score at least 2 runs. Brown's over to cut it off, and he bobbles it. Now the runner is going to be sent home from first base. Here comes Candialis, and it's a 3-run double. 2 runs and an error scoring on the double from D-Star. Pitched well in his first home start last weekend. Hit right up the middle, and Collins goes up the ladder and makes the play. Nice play there by Ryan. 1-1 with 1 out and 2 on. Doherty's pitch, it's hit out to left center. It should be playable for Brown, who's heading back towards the track, and that one's going to get off the wall. Nice job by Brown from keeping the runners from advancing. It's just going to be a single as Nell had to hold up, but that was a tremendous with a 2-run double. And now he hits one through the left side, and this will add at least 1, if not 2. They're going to send Vartanian. The throw from McCormick's a good one. They have him dead to rights, but Spikaitis can't make the catch on the high bounce, and it'll allow 2 runs to score. And now the ball's thrown out to second base by also lost associate head coach Kevin Kelly, who's now the head coach at Rutgers Newark. Chance for 2. Heatherman the throw, Gisarcina across, and it's a 1-6-3 double play as the Beacons sub-4 ERA. Top the steps. That one's shot fair down the third base line. Hughie's going to take off for third. Wood's going to try to cut it off. Rather, that's Andrews, and he'll get it in time. But the Beacons have their first extra base hit, bottom of the 5th inning. Swung, hit out to left center. This one's going to get down. Andrews ranges over to his right. Riley coming the whole way, and he's easily going to score. A 2-run single from Anthony Cesare, and all of a sudden the Beacons have a little here for UMass Dartmouth. They do have a righty warming. Ball hit over to the shortstop. Gisarcina takes a nice high hop to throw. Across is not there in time. Even if Harrington had held on, I don't think he would have beat the very, very speedy, at least 10 bases each of the last 3 years. Takes off here. Ball hit out to right. This is a double play ball. Wood easily makes the catch. Just needs a halfway decent throw, and he gets it. The Beacons hit and run. McCormick, potential bunt here from Tellier, the center fielder, now relief pitcher, right at Riley, who has any option, and now he should get a double play. That is one of the wilder plays you're ever going to see. The runner at second stopped. Those were the highlights of today's contest. Look ahead for UMass Boston. They'll wrap up their 8-game homestand to start the year, now at 4-1. Take on Western New England, a team that was regionally ranked in the New England Regional last year. The Beacons did not play Western New England. Western New England falling 17-14 to Ramapo College here at Monin Park in the first game of the NCAA New England Regional. That game will be Thursday at 3. Then UMass Boston will host Salve Regina, a rare Sunday doubleheader against the top team from the CCC, who actually Western New England beat to get into the NCAA tournament. And then the Beacons will finish off their little trip against the CCC teams when they travel up to Beverly, Mass. next Tuesday for a 3:30 start. Let's take a look at our production crew doing a great job for today's contest. My name is Seth Dorensky, your producer and play-by-play guy. Dave Wahlberg, Allie Crawford, and Tom Nolan, your directors. Stevie Bryant, Mel Fitzgerald, Casey Shea, Sarah St. Cyrin, Kaylee Beauregard, and Eileen Shee, all working on camera today in the cold weather. That'll do it from Boston. UMass Dartmouth winners by an 8-2 score here in the Little East Conference action. Took third on a pass.